Welcome back to the UKEL 4 Nations, everybody. It's playoffs time. Yes, I came back at the perfect moment after a week and a half off. I tell you, it felt like an eternity, guys, not being on the 4 Nations. But I'm joined by Irel and Sheikah, and I'm so happy to be here, okay? Like, I'm going to get, before we move on to any of this, we've got so much to show you guys, but before we get into any of that, let's just get a brief vibe check on you both. Playoffs vibe check edition. Irel, how are we feeling today?
Oh, we're always feeling vibey. It's Venomcrest DMG. I mean, it's a good way to start, and I think everyone's going to be excited for this one. I can tell you're excited. Look how high up you are already.
I know, I was thinking that. I'm elevated into the clouds. I'm going to see if I can just crank myself down just a bit. Just get that gamer slouch going, you know, that shrimp chair angle. Now we're in camera. Exactly. Okay, Sheikah, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about the shrimp chair angle?
We good.
You good? Way better posture than me, that's for sure. So, okay, right, let's get into it. Enough is mucking about, okay? We've got League of Legends to talk about. So, it is playoffs, okay? And let's clue everyone in on the playoffs format. It is quite a based playoffs format. We've got a lower bracket. 8-team league, doesn't matter. We've still got a lower bracket for you, okay? We do real competitive gaming here. And we have this schedule for the next couple of weeks where we have 4 teams in the upper bracket. We have Venomcrest, DMG, and Tempest and Ruddy on either side of the winners there. And then starting off in the lower bracket, Belfast Storm and Verzik. And you can see the dates in front of you there. For the next couple of weeks, it's all going to play out. And we're going to crown our 4 Nations champion after a couple of years away. We cannot wait to get further into it. So, a couple of notes here. Just a couple of housekeeping bits on this playoffs bracket. Lower seed goes from the 2 losers out of this top bracket here. So say DMG and Ruddy lost if they were lower seeds. The lower seed between the 2, which I believe is DMG, would go into the earlier match number 2 on the bracket. And the higher seed would go into match number 3. So there's a long gauntlet through there, and your higher seed places you further into the losers bracket. And those 2 grand final teams automatically go to the NLC Regional Promotion Series. That's what we're playing for here. Yes, the 4 Nations Championship glory is on the line, but also we want to get our teams promoting up into the ecosystem here in the NLC. So, okay, that's all out of the way. Thank you very much, production, for giving us these lovely graphics as always, spinning crystals and all. But now let's talk about the teams that are here today. Venomcrest and DMG. So first, talk about Venomcrest. Sheikah, I'm going to hand it over to you because you were excited to talk about them. Tell us how they got here. The playoffs picture.
Venomcrest coming through walls. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to come out and say their name. So I won't.
No. I wouldn't. No, we've done so well at not being banned. So we'll we'll keep it on.
I will hold it for now, unless I hear differently from...
Yeah. Imagine getting the production in your ear that you have the go-ahead to say the banned phrase. That's just the casters will never hear it. But yeah.
I will jump for joy.
Exactly.
But throughout Open Walls, Venomcrest had a bit of a flip-flop time. They were winning against a lot of teams, losing against the likes of Tempest and Arcadia, who were the 2 favourites coming out of Open Walls. I mean, they were the 2 teams that came from the upper bracket, absolutely dominating their way through. Of course, only one of those teams has since made the playoffs. Venomcrest, coming from the lower bracket along with Verzik, had some very strong showings, definitely looking like the 3rd favourite team out of the 4 coming into the league. We saw a bit of a slower start, right? That first game against DMG, losing to a Tom Kent Elder Steel, gotta feel bad. But if anything, this team have taken that loss and thrived off of it. They have run with it. They have said, we are not losing like that again. We're gonna pick ourselves up. We're gonna run through this system. And I believe the only team that they haven't beaten at least once is Tempest, which makes sense. Tempest have only lost them once to Belfast with a role swap. Yeah. So Venomcrest coming into this series up against DMG, the same team that started their split so awkwardly. It's going to be interesting to see just how these 2 teams will now clash this late into the split. At this point, at the start of playoffs, have Venomcrest grown enough to put the final nail in DMG's coffin and ruin their upper bracket dreams? I think the answer might be yes.
Yeah, I think it certainly is a sordid run that they have had, but we've seen that progression through the season, right? And I know that you, Rail, were very excited about this matchup. This VNC DMG matchup as a round one, just a very exciting one to kick off. And why don't you tell us a little bit more about DMG and set up that matchup for us?
Well, DMG has been a very interesting team to put lightly.
Fascinating.
They came in looking really strong, and that's what confused a lot of people, because the first game wasn't great. It was weird. They pulled out spicy picks, and everyone's like, who the hell are this team? What are they doing? Because right now, they're running it. And then all of a sudden, back to back to back to win. And it was like, hold on a minute. Is this team actually cracked and we don't know about it? They were the first team to pull out Talia and just absolutely bodied everyone with Talia when they were playing it. And then it got to a point, people figured out how they wanted to play, and it threw them back a bit, and it just seemed like they struggled a little bit with adjusting. And it's sort of where we had different players come in and out of this team, and sort of a couple moveabouts, especially in terms of draft, because you had their top laner playing mainly tanks, and as soon as he switched to a bruiser, they looked stronger again. And then they was like, right, one game bruiser, you're back to Ornn duty. You can't get out of jail, my friend. You're still stuck on Ornn.
Let me out!
And it just felt like
it's brutal.
They just went back in a circle, it felt like.
Yeah.
So that's why this team is just a really interesting one. But when the strats do work for them, they play really good momentum. They do end games pretty well. They do tend to stay in front. Just not when Jinyu is split pushing.
Yeah, that's a bit of a red flag, if we see that happening. But we do have, so much of the mechanical highlights coming out of both of these teams. Venomcrest and DMG, and maybe Tempest, obviously, have had such high highs for us. And Chica, do you have anything to add on DMG just before we could take a look at their standings journeys through the weeks?
I was just going to say, if there's one player that we know could shut down bruisers quite effectively, it's our resident Xante one trick.
It is. It's the man. The man himself. Yeah, no longer a cursed pick after that first week. The redemption arc of the Inno Xante has been legendary, and it is going to be, I imagine, showing up in the picks and bans at least once today, I would wager. But let's take a look at both of their standings, because comparing them to one another shows the dichotomy between those two teams' journeys. And you can see in the green, Venomcrest Serpents, and in the black, DMG UK. And Venomcrest has that steady climb, right? That iterative, we're improving on a known formula. Week 5 is when Galul comes in. They get that last little bit they need to get up into second. They couldn't catch Tempest in the end, but you can see them building. And then DMG is pulling a bit of a sine wave. They're up and they're down, and they're just about okay again. They sneak into the upper bracket. So, Rail, in terms of these two teams and their journeys through here, we can see that Venomcrest, they have ended up decidedly above, but the bounce back that we saw from DMG, if they didn't have that big dip, do you think they would maybe kind of average out to a similar position given a few more weeks?
Yeah, it'd be very, very close. Obviously, they didn't have that Galul buff sitting in their back pocket waiting for them.
Yeah.
They had a couple of swaps that it didn't always go the way they wanted. They had a lot of games where they got ahead and didn't know how to close it out. And this was against teams what we expected them to beat, to be honest, because they lost to Lions Creed. I think they lost to Arcadia as well. And I think they were the ones where we're like, they shouldn't be dropping points here, really. And then from that point, it was like, okay, is DMG that good? But I feel like if they kept on the same momentum as like week 3, they would be around the same point. I don't think they'd be higher than Venomcrest. I think they'll be like maybe a win behind.
Yeah, I think give it a couple more weeks, they might be able to make it through. But Chica, if we like in terms of the bounce back here for DMG and whether they'd be able to reach up there, we mentioned the Galul buff, but there has also been the Nata buff, right, for DMG for the last few weeks at least. Now, to be clear, they are playing with their original roster, I believe, here today. But for a few weeks, Nata was brought in, obviously a player who has worked with Torok, who was on their coaching staff before in the NLC system. And he was playing top, he was playing mid, he was playing jungle, he was playing everything. So talk to me about how that Nata kind of period, the Nata era in the DMG timeline affected them, and whether you think it's going to affect them, I guess, negatively or positively overall coming into the playoffs picture now.
I think the big thing with Nata is the versatility you get with this player. Nothing against Pighead, but like we mentioned, very good at these bruisers. Doesn't look quite so effective on the tanks. Whereas if we look And you'll see it here, Nata coming in with a beautiful play here. Highlights galore. Nata is a very I can do whatever is needed of me player.
Yeah.
Whereas it feels like everybody else they've brought in sub-wise has been very, I'm going to play a very specific style, and there's not really much you can do about it. But I do think the team looked best with the Nata Air iteration coming forwards, and I think Air is another person to bring up quite heavily as just one of these players who has done a lot for DMG, just coming in as a sub every once in a while. So generally speaking, I think the Nata era has been very successful in comparison, but I'm ready to see DMG prove that their original roster of Shroudy, Pighead, Jinyu, Yang, and Steven can contend with that and can go back to the form that we saw a lot more at the very start of the split. Maybe they've taken a few days to rethink how they play. Maybe they've just said, okay, we are more versatile. I can get my words out, I promise. We are more versatile and we're going to prove that today. Maybe we don't see that. I would like to see them try to play as if they had something to prove, because I think they have played best when they feel like they have something to prove.
Yeah, I think it's, that roster, the original roster, it got them up to 4-2. That was the original roster that we thought, wow, maybe they can challenge Tempest, and then before it started to fall off. So we know the potential is there. But I guess we also know that the rest of the league has been improving a lot, right? The Venomcrest graph showed us that. Everyone else has been getting better, and we'll see if DMG have also been improving in the background. For now, we're going to go to a quick break, and we'll be back with game number 1 before too long, so don't go anywhere, guys. The playoffs are about to kick off. Welcome back, everybody, for the pre-game in game number 1 here. Venomcrest Serpents versus DMG UK. First match of the playoffs, best of 3. Let's talk about it. Okay, so we were just talking in the green room. We were thinking, all right, what lane should we focus on? What matchup is really stands out? And the answer became all of them very quickly. We could not find one that is that pivotal. Both of these teams are well-rounded. They both have many threats, and a lot of these matchups are very interesting in their own unique ways. So let's just go top to bottom in that case. Let's just run it down the rift. And if we're going to start on top, let's start with Irel, our resident top laner. Tell us about that top side. Tell us about the top lane matchup. We've got Pighead on one side for DMG. We've got Inno for Venomcrest Serpents.
Well, so here's where it already looks worried, the top matchup alone. It's like, Inno, in terms of consistency in his performances, probably looks like the second best top laner in the league. Like, there's been so many consistent performances from him. Even when his team's losing, he's generally still been playing good. Even when I was memeing the Cassante curse, he was still making decent plays while behind.
Yeah.
And when I'm looking at the flip side, Pighead had some okay games, but then there's too many games where he sort of gets bullied. He looked good on his Camille, but then we've not really seen that Camille again. It's just been put on the shelf. So that's one of my main worries, what I looked at straight away.
Yeah, I think one of the only things that stands out for me in the matchup is we know that Inno is happy to go back to a lot of melees, a lot of bruisers and tanks, right? But Pighead has shown a whole lot of range and rumble. We've seen rumble and Kennen out of him specifically that could twist the matchup, I guess, out of Inno's hands a little bit. At the very least, make it harder for Inno to get an advantage early on. But as you say, Irel, it's not been the most consistent up there, right? Even on his Kennen games, the lane hasn't really been the strong point of those games. It's been maybe a bit of the team fighting and the rumble ults coming in later. So we'll see if the draft can maybe affect that matchup a little more heavily. But if we then scroll down a little bit into the jungle, where we have Bartholdi on one side for Venomcrest Serpents and Shroudy Rowdy back into the jungle for DMG UK. Sheikah, tell me about how you think these junglers match up and what do you think is going to affect this matchup the most?
So Shroudy Rowdy has, throughout most of the split, been one of the big carries for DMG UK. Has always been on something like Miss Graves. Of course, last week on Thursday, we saw them take the Victor into the mid lane. We won't talk about that. That was a game. We won't talk about it.
Didn't happen.
Yeah, I don't remember last Thursday. I was casting it and I don't remember it. That's how the game went. But on the flip side, Bartholdi has always been a more facilitative jungler. And towards the start of the split, we didn't really see much of anything impressive coming out of Bartholdi. However, the second Galul comes in instead of Dandy, Bartholdi has stepped up big time. And I believe it was Temporal that made a point in the past about how Galul likes to command the jungler around almost. Will tell the jungler what they need to be doing for him and for the rest of the team at any given moment. And we can see that with how quick the snap of the change was for Bartholdi, going from trying to play facilitator but not really being extremely frontal with it, to flipping back round and suddenly being, yeah, okay, I'm exactly where I need to be when I need to be there. I'm doing everything I can to make sure the team's succeeding and coming out of lanes with leads. And frankly, with lanes so skilled, you don't even need to be doing that.
And it definitely showed with Bartoldi. Like, as soon as Galul came in with him, the complete control of River they have for their team is incredible. Like, they have the complete control. The wards in the jungle are pretty much immaculate. So they'll have tracking. They'll have the entire River control. And it just completely changed the dynamic of their play.
Yeah, it was a very interesting change to show up there on a team that was already improving, and then it was just kind of the accelerator got slammed when Galul came in, and suddenly they rocketed right up to where they are now, ending in second at the end of the day. Now, I will actually take a quick break here. We'll come back to these matchups, but let's take a look at the rosters just to confirm, to remind everybody, anyone who's maybe joining us here in the playoffs for the four nations who didn't get a chance to see the rest of them. We are going to be talking about these rosters, but it is important to highlight. We'll take a look at Venomcrest here first. A lot of mystery men on this one, but Fastlegged is there. So, you know, he is Fastlegged, really the carry of this team, as we can see from that roster. The only one who made it onto the roster. But to confirm, that first roster is Inno in the top lane, Bartoldi in the jungle, Galul in the mid lane, KZ in bot lane, and then Fastlegged on support. So, just to confirm as well, we'll do roster number 2 as well. I believe the other graphic might also be struggling somewhat in the source. So DMG will be Pighead in top lane, Shroudy Rowdy jungle, Xinyu mid, Yang bot lane, and Steven at support. So with that out of the way, let's head down to the mid lane. And this was one rail that Ashika and I were thinking, yeah, let's talk about top lane, let's talk about bot lane, and you said no. Actually, mid lane is actually very, very important. So talk to us about that one, Galul versus Xinyu.
So Xinyu has been a really weird mid laner this split, is to say. Pulling out things like Kiana.
In a word.
Worked once, and then it lost twice, and then there was like, okay, that doesn't work. Let's play Tristana. Which a lot of teams were playing at the time, given. So it did make sense to how they were playing and what they wanted to do. And then, so I really liked that method. And then they went to Ahri, but then ended up split pushing with Ahri. I was like, this is not what you picked this champion for. It was just completely lost in the draft. And I was like, okay, back to basics, boys. We need to just change all what's going on right now. Yeah. But then my main question is, can he handle the pressure of Galul? And I'll hand that to Jika.
I think the answer might be no. And I'm going to touch on this a little bit more than would normally be necessary, because we saw Galul come in halfway into the split. Dandy, starting out for Venomcrest, very good mid laner, but seems to be a fill-in joy from what we can gather. So bringing in a dedicated mid laner like Galul has been in the scene for so long. Some of you, if you don't recognize the name Galul, will probably recognize the name Armored Dragon, which is another name Galul goes by online. Has been around for a lot. Has been around for a long time. Was in the last split of UKL that went through as well, and had a really good time there. Has been coaching for a couple of years, has come back to playing, and is showing that the strength of the player hasn't deteriorated at all. We touched on it with Bartoldi. Has been come in and been moving this jungler around left, right, and center, but has had some very good individual performances as well across a wide array of champions. So while DMG is struggling to find that one thing that really works, from step A to B to C, Galul is just saying, okay, give me everything. I have an ocean. You can't stop me, and I'm just better.
Yeah, it is going to be a bit of a tidal wave coming his way, perhaps. I think I remember so clearly the first game that Galul played, slammed Yone mid, and was just leading the 1v5 charge into the jungle so hard. Now, not all of those engages were ideal, but they won the game, I'm pretty sure. So, you know, it was the end result works out. Yeah, so there were a couple of additional influences in that game for sure. But I just the attitude change was so obvious, right, as soon as Galul came in, and that's kind of been the big story for Venomcrest over the last couple of weeks. But as we head down to the bot lane, this is the one that I think interests me the most, is Yang on the side of DMG versus KZ, Venomcrest Serpents. And KZ, for my money, Rail, tell us about how this man has been popping off over the last couple of weeks, putting up some crazy numbers, has he been?
I mean, he's always quietly been doing really good, and that's the thing. Yeah. He's sort of flew under the radar because he's not been the main focal point. He's not been the person to play around for them for some reason. And then soon as he's had the freedom, or even soon as he's got out of lane, he has looked so good. His positioning in team fights is really, really good. And especially on the Kai'Sa, there was that one game, literally got a quadra kill just from good positioning and a very good ult to get into the back line and just completely disrupted the enemy team.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. And then for the side of, for Yang, Sheikah, I'll hand Yang over to yourself. For me, you know, I'll never forget the Ashe plays that this man made in the first couple of weeks when no one else was even touching the champion.
Pray who? Says Yang.
Literally. Washed.
Yang is the other half of the coin of carry for DMG UK. Has been a consistent carry throughout most of their games, but again has struggled to find success on much other than the Ashe. I mean, we've seen things like the Xayah come out. Personally, I haven't been impressed too much by Yang's Xayah. It feels like it's just kind of there to band-aid fix some of the issues the team has, or to maybe just be an AD carry that can play backwards if a fight starts to go poorly, rather than actually bringing the champion in for its strength, which is very good zone control and fight control with what the kit has available. So, up against KZ, I think you're really outmatched, just based on how much versatility and knowledge this player has. But if Yang can get on one of their comforts, it could just completely upend everything.
Yeah, there are a lot of specific comfort picks, I think, in this match that could affect it very heavily. But speaking of the comfort picks, it's time to head forward to the draft. I'm sure we'll touch on the support matchup in depth a little bit more, maybe before game 1. But for now, let's see where the priorities lie. Will we be seeing Jinyu Aurelia mid? Will we be seeing Jinyu Qiyana mid? Will we be seeing the Yang Ashe? Potentially Satam Kench out of Steven. There's a lot of affect that can come through right here, and right now, it's topside focus. The Maokai jungle, the Jarvan jungle, and the K'Sante for Inno is denied, and I'm not surprised at all by this. This is a pretty good move by Pighead, I think. Even if you've got a Rumble, even if you've got a Kennen, just don't open yourself up to that one, Sheikah.
Who would ever be surprised?
Yeah, exactly. They are learning. The brains are expanding rapidly. Now, we haven't yet seen, you know, we'll get into the lower bracket later on this week, and we'll see if anyone's learned to ban Lars's Fiora yet, but, you know, we'll only expand them so far for now, as the Aurelia is still denied, unfortunately, for that mid lane. Still no love for Rail in the drafting arenas here.
Just
and the Jinx ban... It's just not allowed. And the Jinx ban is interesting here. So has this actually risen to the point where it is like the bannable AD carry when there's so many other things coming off Sheikah? You're nodding your head. Everyone's nodding their head. Everyone agrees.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, it's been knocked down a couple of pegs on live patch.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, this champion is obscene in what it can do. Just on the sheer basis that it exists, it gets free scaling on attack speed, and it can stack up to 5 times. You turn it into a machine gun with rockets at that point.
Yeah.
I don't like this though.
There ain't no way they just did this.
I have been, I don't know if you've seen me, both on desk and on cast or split long. I have been the world's worst advocate for first picking Xayah because of how easy it is to counter. You pick Ziggs, you pick someone with poke mage, and it's free as anything. This champion does not exist into poke.
You can literally pick Ziggs on current patch and just sit there and be laughing and say, you don't get to play the game while I do. Have fun. Have fun reaching for them range creeps because you ain't touching them.
And people have been doing it in this league. You know, we've got Ziggs players here. You know, Lions Creek does not sadly make it to the playoffs, but even in the regional leagues, the Ziggs counter has been coming out. As the rest of the drafts coming through, we have the Orianna, a much more common B1 priority, a much less punishable one, perhaps, in the current meta, and then the Rakan to pair along with it to deny that pairing with the Xayah. DMG grabbing the Rel that could go into the jungle, could go into Steven's hands. We know he likes a bit of Engager. And we've already had the Ashe hover. We've got the Qiyana hover now. I imagine we're just playing to the crowd right here. I don't think that we're going to see that actual lock-in, for the Qiyana. We will breathe this over. You like the Vi?
Yeah, so one of their last wins was actually by playing the Vi, and it's what Torok did for them. And Strider already put so much work in on this pick. Despite whatever it was playing against, it still was one of the main factors to why they won the entire game. And that's why I actually really like it. I don't care about the Poppy pick into it, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't think the Poppy. I don't think the Poppy is there for the Vi. The Poppy is there for the Rel. Poor Steven's not going to get to play this damn game.
Yeah, I guess that's the the potential choice that Bartoldi has to make, right, is how to hold that W and where to drop that one, and who he's choosing to protect. So we'll see if there is what the decision making is like. We have weapon production. The draft is quickly being remade, so I imagine we will get through to that point up to the same stage and then continue it. We saw the Camille ban away from Pighead, reasonable stuff, and then the Ezreal ban on the other side. So taking away one of those range abusers into the Xayah leaves up the Zig still. Is there, because I'm trying to think for KZ, I don't think we've seen a huge variety in style of AD carry. We've seen the Jinx, we've seen the Xayah, the Kai'Sa, a lot of late game scaling kind of win con champions. Are there any other Punishers that KZ could maybe bring out? Now the Ezreal has been banned, because that was, I believe, a champion he could play, but Sheikah, what has he got in the tank to maybe punish this Xayah now?
Lethality Caitlyn.
Based. Okay, sure. So that's got rage. Lethality
I don't
Caitlyn.
think it's good. Don't get me wrong. I think you have to snowball, but if any team can snowball, it's Venomcrest.
Sin thinks it's good. Ruddy's AD carry definitely thinks it's good. He's been popping off in the Twitch chat about how good he thought it was. I don't know if that was a patch ago now. And we did see, I think he pulled it out, right? I think he pulled out the Caitlyn.
The Caitlyn was there, but it was traditional crit Caitlyn,
sure.
not lethality.
It was a W, I think, at the end of the day. But so we have seen a little bit of it. And I think that would be nice to see KZ maybe just expand out into a little bit more of a slightly different kind of archetype where the Caitlyn doesn't have as similar kind of power spikes as the others. And we'd see if they'd be able to play well with that. But Rail, in terms of that bot lane, we've got the Irel on one side. And then I don't think we even had a support pick. We had the Rakan, right? So
Rakan, yeah.
What do you think maybe we want to see out of KZ here? No Ezreal? No
I feel like it's just going to be Kai'Sa or Varus here. Varus is still traditionally quite good into Xayah.
I like that. And
obviously with what they have right now, it pairs quite well. So if they do play it, it sits really nicely and it gives you good hyper carry ability. And you also have that extra layer CC for your team.
And the other thing with Varus is you can go literally any of the 3 builds and still do well into Xayah. Lethality and AP speaks for themselves. You're poking them out or one-shotting them. You're forcing Featherstorm one way or the other. But the crit on hit variant, and that's actually 2 different variants because the on hit is different to the crit ever so slightly.
Yeah.
You have very slightly higher auto attack range than Xayah. You do outrange her.
Yeah.
So you can start a fight first. You can play a fight longer because you're probably going tempo to match her. And you have more trading potential in the fact that because you outrange her, you get the first auto off. She's then going to trade an auto with you, so you've got 2 stacks of Blight. Even if you can't then get that third, you pop an arrow or you pop the hail. That's a good quarter of her health gone anyway. Yeah, the trade's done at that point. So the Varus is a very, very good option to bring up, right? I'm quite glad you did because it completely slipped my mind.
Well, yeah, he got buffed recently, remember? So that's why I was a bit like, Varus actually sits nicely, but...
Yeah, we've had a couple of Varuses.
Okay.
But the Ashe is the takeaway. So the Aang special going over to KZ. Plenty of range now to play with for sure to push that Xayah around. Obviously, he doesn't have quite the late game potential and a bit more vulnerable to something like a Vi and an Ahri as has now been locked in for Jinyu. So we've gone back a couple of patches. We didn't love the split push, Ahri, did we, Rail, out of Jinyu in the past, but perhaps with a Vi Ahri, perhaps we could just get stuck in the lane and we can focus on the picks, right? Get that Ashe done, get the Orianna done. They don't have the mobility. Maybe we can see a bit of a change of pace from them as the Aatrox slammed in for Pighead at the end.
There's no way they've locked. There's no way they've locked 4 champions with dashes into a Poppy. There's no way.
Ain't no way.
Poppy can't be everywhere.
Poppy can't be everywhere, but the second you get to a team fight, none of these champions are ever getting to Ashe or Orianna.
I mean, that's part of the game. We'll wait and see, I guess.
Yeah, if they stack in the right place, Bartoldi can do a lot to ruin DMG's plan. That is certainly true. Chica?
The interesting thing with DMG here is they are going back a long, long, long time. If you remember earlier in the year, Vi Ahri was this big combo because you unlock the Ahri, you get her to move into River, you get her to move around the map. That is where she thrives, as we have heard from Nymera so many times. You thrive when you can move into the River, start in these skirmishes, and stack an early Dark Seal. I don't know if that's what we're going to see from Shroudy Rowdy and Jinyu. I'm going to reserve large amounts of judgment until I've seen it. But Vi Ahri got massive nerfs just throughout time. And into something like Poppy Orianna, when Orianna is so strong for no reason. I'm worried that this duo might actually just flop on its face rather than hit the ground running. We'll find out who has the better ball, I guess.
Well, is there a good reason for it? Because Viatrox is also another combination of that same method of that patch. Because Vi is such a distraction in team fights, it gives Aatrox room to play. And if Aatrox is a distraction, it gives Vi room to play. And it opens up each other. So Vi opens up Ari opens up Aatrox. They're able to be a multi-threat comp, and that's sort of what they're leaning towards and saying, Xayah can do whatever they want, but we're going to distract them on multiple fronts. So that's what DMG want to do here.
Xayah doesn't get to play this game.
Yeah,
looking at the styles of the comps, DMG have drafted a, we're going forwards. There's nothing you can do to stop us. We're just going forwards. Venomcrest don't want to go forwards. Venomcrest want to kite back really, really badly. This Xayah is never going to get any value from Blade Caller. The only purpose you have Blade Caller is the same purpose that an Ash Arrow has in this game, and that is to maybe get a lucky root off on someone to start off a fight. I would honestly prefer to see Yang go something like, and I can't believe I'm saying this into a Poppy of all things, but I want to see Yang go something like Gale Force or Infinity Edge this game instead of the Navori, because I don't think you're going to get the worth out of having sustained ability damage in fights versus the sheer amount of burst you're going to get from something like Gale Force or Infinity Edge.
I was thinking that, like, just for the meme to add a dash onto every champion, go Gale Force, and if you manage to Gale Force into a Poppy, then this is more Yang's problem, I think, than anyone else's. But I think the last thing that we haven't touched on yet, just to focus into on specifics a little bit more, is the Inno Renekton, and this was the original Inno permaban, because back in the early part of the season, when his Cassante was losing games, he started picking Renekton. And he played it once, and then suddenly it was getting banned more than half the time. His Renekton was actually juicy. It's very good. So that Pickhead Inno matchup, in terms of the Aatrox Renekton 1v1, Rail, I would penny for your thoughts on this individual lane matchup. Generally speaking, I think Inno has had a stronger lane, but in terms of the actual champions, who do you think's naturally got on edge?
So Renekton wins early, pretty easily, to be put as well, because Aatrox mainly has AD scaling, so like he's not going to chip you too much early until he hits like Q3. But Aatrox does end up winning this matchup the later the game goes on. They're both very much similar champions into what they want here, in just being team fight facilitators, being distractions, being them people to be like, okay, I'm on your AD carry, what are you going to do about it? If you don't do anything, I'm going to kill him. That's literally the role of both these champions. So Aatrox is very easy to play through and with setup, but so is Renekton. And Renekton Poppy dive onto Aatrox early is very, very easy to do. Yeah.
Like, as much as the kite back is certainly very strong for Venomcrest, if they get Inno into the right flank position with Galul in range to drop an Orianna ball, there could be massive devastation to be had. I think we had this previous thought as well, that Galul did not want to play Orianna, because I think it used to be open, and they would just never pick it, and we go, okay, why are we not... Or they'd ban it on blue side, right?
They kept banning it.
Yeah, why are we banning it on blue when we could just slam at B1? And now it seems Galul has put some games in, and goes, actually, wait, this champion, as Sheikah said, is broken for no reason. So, let's just take this. Okay, we are going to go into the game for now. We've got to be watching that top side, see how this top lane matchup plays out. That mid jungle as well with the Viari. We need to see work out of that. And let's see if KZ can step up on this new archetype as well, if Yang can get any blade callers off. But for now, game number 1 is upon us. We're passing it over to the casters. Milky Cereal and Temporal. It is breakfast time, everybody. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Trajan. It is, of course, breakfast time, because Temporal is the start of the series, and you need to have a bit of breakfast to start that.
You got to get that nutritional start in, Milky. And, as we see here, the mysterious elk is getting that grass. He wants that fiber. I think our teams might prefer a win to start off the series. That's what they need in their diet.
But we are heading into game. And okay, so I look at this draft and I see right, blah blah blah. I really like what DMG does.
Yeah.
And they're not going into this with an idea of what places are lowly, we're trying to scale. They're going to throw everything at Venomcrest, and it is on Venomcrest to be able to neutralize those attacks.
Yeah, it will be the withstanding. You're right. DMG, even though it's probably not the team comp I'd choose, it's chaos, it's excitement, it's dive, it's quick finds. You know, just pushing Pighead back. We'll be able to heal up some of this damage, both top laners. So the Sweet Spots versus the Colamique. Question of the first wave. And Fast-Legged will find Saber.
Yeah, so despite what I was saying about DMG are going to come out swinging, it's Venomcrest who are looking for plays on the top side and on the bottom side before the mid waves even reach lane. And we are going to be seeing both junglers starting on their respective top sides of the map.
It's perfect vision and start. So Shreddy Rowdy will be spotted away. And Reddington, one of those top laners that can try and interfere in the opposing jungle. So just giving them a brief heart attack there. Not too surprised to see KZ and Fast-Legged up on this wave. The Ashe wants to get her volleys in and around. And if you do walk towards her, it makes it so much easier to hit. The Rakan, a bit of an interesting pick. It did come through after the Xayah. Something we normally see is Saber Avalon chunk super low for that level 1 and a continued trade. Is that the Rakan struggles as soon as he moves into the Feathers. The Feathers, a zone of danger for that support. So he's going to enjoy this freedom while he's got it. Later on, won't be that free-form engager we're so used to. Man, Fast-Legged, what a UK hero. 3rd in the TCL in 2020. Absolute unit of the Rift.
And again, while we are kind of expecting DMG to come out swinging, let's not forget, early stage, kind of laning phase, Venomcrest looking very good. Orianna has a lot of power in her autos, and then you look towards the bottom lane with those volleys. KZ can really poke and abuse Yang and Stephen in this Xayah Rel
2. Alright, TP out from Saber Avalon, burning that one nice and early. Gets the refill pot on. Not necessarily the place you want to be on this Ahri against Orianna, but it's going to be a wait for Vi job now. The 2v2 of Ahri Vi just so strong at picking down a single target. And Galul here just able to hold the Ahri at arm's length. This is what you want to do with the Orianna. You want to scale through, become stronger, go for a big shockwave later on. Support your teammates in the small unit fights. So a strong start for Venomcrest's mid. As we see, Fast-Legged is on a roam timer here. Doesn't have to be bought immediately.
And I kind of want to talk about just what this teleport means as well for the side of Venomcrest, because Saber Avalon has used that teleport. Galul can now just farm up, wait, kind of get to level 6, recall, get an item, teleport in for a potential Drake fight, and then we'll have maybe a couple of amplifying turns, maybe even a lost chapter against Saber Avalon, who'll be practically on starting items.
Yeah, that's the risk. I'm getting ahead in mid. That short lane just means once the snowball is on, so easy to punish KZ here. Dropping down on health slightly. Fast-Legged trading his AD carry's health for position in the river. They did repel Shreddy Rowdy's efforts on the bot side of the map. And this Vi now should be looking somewhere on the map. Strongest part about this pick is that you can just run at a lane, drop your flash, and expect the flash of that laner to be traded back, then punish the lane repeatedly. Blue pings down here in the river as Bartholdi spotted out. If we're looking at both these teams now, neither just dummy pathed into that top side. Bartholdi still on a ward here, so will be spotted away, waiting for his chance in the bottom side.
And Yang and Steven just playing it very nicely, knowing that Bartholdi is on that ward and just baiting Bartholdi to cancel the recall, stepping forward momentarily, and as soon as they see that recall being stopped, then they just kind of very reluctantly back away.
Yeah, means that DMG's jungler bought some time back, you know, a bit more effective, has caught up on CS slightly. Poppy not too worried about scaling directly though. She does offer that a zone of exclusion that knocks every single member of DMG back if they try and dash over it. And a huge risk for later in the game that breaks the DMG approach. That's a cooldown Bartholdi's going to have to use oh so carefully. 5 minutes in, dragons up, both junglers just pathing through very low risk, low commitment stuff here as the Hawk shot brilliantly across, and lovely place in the lane that lets you get full vision of your enemy's jungle. And Shroudy Rowdy will be spotted out here. Baltoldi probably can't go forwards with a level disadvantage, but will hold his position all the same to cover for his top laner.
So things have been relatively quiet. What are you really waiting for, Temporal, to kind of see the action coming in? Is it going to be around this first Drake? Are we maybe waiting for that Enchanted Crystal Arrow for KZ once he hits level 6?
Potentially. I think Venomcrest definitely waiting for that on their side. I'd have liked to have seen Shroudy Rowdy try and force something, but with his mid laner at such a disadvantage, best to not force. Going top would cede that lower lane objective down, as it's likely the Ashe will be able to get priority without an all-in from Steven. With that in mind, both teams just taking it easy, not risking anything, not pushing the boat out too soon. At level 6, I would expect that Enchanted Crystal Arrow or the Rakan to come out across the map, try and make some moves, as that'll be Venomcrest's time to get started.
And while we are still kind of in these early stages of the game with not too much happening, I do want to set the stakes a little bit for this series. These are two teams that went even in regular season, 1-2-1, as the Drake has now been started up by Venomcrest. However, Shroudy Rowdy is on the top side of the map here, Temporal, so Venomcrest should be able to get this one without any contestation.
Yeah, there's no long-range sort of interference ability from DMG at this stage in the game. That will be Venomcrest just picking that one up. And Eno here does have the ability to start this fight or walk away from it. Galul was ready. They're not going to invite an even numbers fight. Venomcrest waiting for the advantage they can have by bringing their jungle and support up. Galul now starting.
Yeah, but here comes the rest of Venomcrest, going to be able to find the knock-up onto Shroudy Rowdy, forced to flash away, and Venomcrest are looking to run down the jungle of DMG. It's first blood for Galul, and now they turn on to Saber Avalon. 2 kills for Venomcrest in quick succession.
A crispy shockwave there pulled Shroudy Rowdy and Saber Avalon back in on top of Galul. He maintained the orb on top of himself, that ball giving him a little bit of extra magic resist and armor that just lets him go further in that small unit fight, and the coast to coast is on. Venomcrest, with their scaling composition, have started to apply the accelerator.
First Drake, the first 2 kills of the game, now looking for Rift Herald as well. I know it's early to say this, but my god, the mid gap is big for Venomcrest. DMG, they want to contest this Rift Herald. What can Shroudy Rowdy do? He's going in, follow up, coming through as well as Steven makes his way in, but Steven is just going to fall. It's a wonderful one so far. Enchanted Crystal Arrow cannot land onto anyone. They're looking to get the kill on to the Vi, and surely they will. Galul gets the double kill, still alive, trying to shield himself up with the ball, now running from Saber Avalon, as it is a 2 for 2 in the end. Galul will fall. It is 3 kills going the way of Venomcrest. Pardon me, 3 kills going the way of DMG, but it is Venomcrest who pick up the Rift Herald.
An objective for a -1. Bit rough there, Pighead. Used his flash at a great time to secure that last kill. That's sort of Aatrox's dream situation, where he just manages to chain Q into Q into Q on multiple people throughout a fight and absolutely swing through. The main benefactor there, Pighead, picking up 2 of the kills himself. And that's Venomcrest just being reminded. They do have that scaling composition. If you don't deny the dive forwards from DMG, their composition so effective at finding your carries. If we look at the lower side of the map, we do have KZ at a pretty significant advantage. There is 15 CS there, and of course, about to finish his cull for 100 extra gold. So Venomcrest still have that scaling option, still have that in the tank.
And let's not forget Venomcrest getting that 1k gold lead at the moment, actually nearly almost 1,500 ahead. And the fact that they've been able to get this early Drake, that's going to really prevent DMG from being able just to early stack these Drakes. We're getting to that point in the game where Ari's going to be getting towards that first item, Yang's going to be getting towards that first item. This is where DMG would have expected to be stronger, but with a 1.5k gold deficit, it makes it that little bit harder to play, and they have to be that slightly little bit more respectful of Venomcrest.
Yeah, and we see fast-legged and Galul here moving in and around. The Rakan leaving the Rel, leaving the Xayah behind, does mean he is going to have more of that standard gameplay he's used to. Coming in now onto the bottom side, the arrow connects.
Enchanted Crystal Arrow in to the knock-up, and a great follow-up from Bartoldi. They get the knock-up onto Yang, who is forced to flash out to safety, and this is just going to give Venomcrest all the time in the world just to get as many plates as they want.
Yeah, they'll use the Rift Herald as well, investing that into KZ wise at this stage. If they can keep their AD carry alive through this diving composition, will scale so fantastically, deal so much damage, and provide that engage, provide the way into these fights.
Venomcrest playing fantastically proactively in the early stages of this game, and so far DMG have not had an answer. The kills that DMG have got have been courtesy of Venomcrest's aggression around the Rift Herald, and even though DMG got those kills, they lost overall, giving the objective over to Venomcrest that has now just been placed in the bottom lane, and Venomcrest still looking for more plays.
Yeah, it feels like Fastlane just hasn't been in lane properly for the longest time. Galul here going to help shove this one out, get this into tower. Give Eno some time. Mina plate goes over in mid as the duo goes up. Eno!
This damage is kind of dirty. Shockwave almost up here for Galul. Could look to play aggressively. Pighead has to be incredibly careful
he's
here.
out of mana.
The ball has been placed. Is it off cooldown yet? Decides against using it. I thought that one would have been a certain kill onto the Aatrox.
Yeah, not enough mana. I think it's 100 for Shockwave, 30 for Command Attack at this stage, maybe 25 if I'm not remembering rightly. And Galul, absolute zero mana. A little unfortunate there. Wasn't able to convert, else Pighead would have been in a whole world of pain.
And this has been a very solid start for Galul. 20 CS ahead in an Orianna against Ahri matchup. I was kind of thinking, okay, yeah, maybe Orianna's okay in the first couple of levels, but then the Ahri should be turning it around. That turnaround has not happened. It has been all Galul.
I think finding that advantage pre-6 is pretty important. Ahri can get pretty creative and sort of force Orianna to hold on to the ball a lot at 6-2. Throw it defensively at the last Spirit Rush forwards. And instead, Galul already ahead by that stage. Eno now in the 1v1, starting to fall down slightly, the power of this Renekton from the early game.
Charm landing on
Saber just says hi.
D.
Yeah,
hovering
just
around.
Just a cheeky trade.
I think the trade though, Saber Avalon, full health. Galul has lost a tiny little bit of HP, has that first item completed though. 3-1 on this Orianna is looking incredibly scary, and Venomcrest once again looking to do a little party in the bottom lane. Might not even be needed. Oh, the follow-up is beautiful. Steven will fall, and Venomcrest will back away, but the Blade Caller is disgusting. Not quite enough to get the kill onto Bartoldi. Venomcrest will be able to escape, but with their tails between their legs.
Okay, so it's got to be careful. Saber Avalon showing on vision. They absolutely win the 2 versus 2. Bartoldi there to help convert, help nullify the ability of the Rel to get away. And from Venomcrest so far, this has been a bit of a clinic in how to play carefully, how to take game 1. This will be sort of a crushing victory style. They want to win straightforwards and then try and make DMG overheat themselves in the kitchen, try and get a bit too creative while they don't have to do any adaptation themselves. It's a strong way to approach game 1.
I mean, you say a safe game. Venomcrest, to me, they've been, I don't know, super proactive. And I guess proactive doesn't inherently mean that they aren't playing safe.
They haven't had to bring out any special champions. They haven't had to sort of display a draft attitude that's very shaped to DMG. Instead, it's a nice flat profile, nice and easy League of Legends.
Well, it has been good League of Legends. I don't know if I'd say easy. I mean, it has been.
Which of these champions excites you, Milky Cereal?
Rakan, come on.
Rakan's very exciting, but he's in most games. None of these champions are like super creative.
Right, okay.
We're not seeing like, you know, I'd say Ahri was not that much in the meta right now, for instance. So it's those sorts of things, those sorts of going the extra mile that can sort of put a lot of stress on a team early in a series. And yeah, Venomcrest doing great.
And it kind of ties back to what we were bringing up at the start of the game, and what I was quite excited by, the fact that DMG are bringing out this composition for game 1. But at the same time, you can look at it in the other sense of they don't think that they can beat Venomcrest with the standard draft. Again, that might not be the case. This is us theorizing, but one could interpret it in that way.
Yeah, I guess we could see it that way. As Pighead gets a full combo onto Eno, this is going to happen more and more often with the Aatrox gaining steam now. Oh my god.
2-0 as well for Pighead on this Aatrox. He is strong. We are still in the mid-game. Skirmishes should theoretically be favouring the side of DMG. But, looking to go in because he's got friends, but so does Pighead. 2v3. Steven will make this one a 3v3. Where will the engage come through? The Everfrost is beautiful. Into the Magnet Storm. Out comes the damage. But where are the members of DMG going? They just don't have the damage. And Venomcrest get 2 for absolutely nothing.
DMG overcommit, and while they do find Bartholdi picked out, they unfortunately fall foul of a fantastic shockwave, and KZ flash forwards and finish Yang.
Shreds through the Zaya, a little bit of help from Fast-Legged, but that was all KZ in the 1v1, just demonstrating how strong Venomcrest are right now. 3,000 gold ahead. They have the second Rift Herald as well.
What confidence, what absolute titanium confidence there. Did you want
to go for titanium balls there?
Well, you've gone and said it now, Milky Cereal. Two absolute step forwards there. KZ dominating in the AD carry 1 versus 1.
And DMG, what do they try to do? Trying to get some vision now in the bottom side river. We do have a Drake in 20 seconds time, but Venomcrest are going to drop the Rift Herald in the mid lane and say, DMG, what are you going to do? Are you going to keep on trying to hold that river control, or are you going to contest this Rift Herald push?
Yeah, difficult position to be in. Looks like DMG will commit cooldowns on returning to this mid lane. In comes Shroudy Rowdy.
Yeah, but Bartholdi just finds the engage, and the follow-up comes through from Fast-Legged. Galul gets one. Steven with a beautiful Magnet Storm as Pighead teleports into the backline on the Aatrox. Has some serious damage, but this is a 2v5 temporal. You just don't win those, and Venomcrest slaughter DMG. We're not even 20 minutes into the game, but this is looking over.
A fantastic shockwave once again from Galul has not missed this game, and KZ's Enchanted Crystal, the cooldowns of their tankier members alongside them delay the dive, stagger the dive, and with KZ's stopwatch coming through to deny Pighead his reset. That is DMG's dive broken. Sole point now on this Chemtech Rift for Venomcrest, and if we look across the map, we'll notice that at 1 minute and 40 seconds, a Baron is coming. A Baron they will no doubt look to take for their own.
With an Ashe and Orianna, they can get through the Baron super quickly, especially if they can get a kill onto DMG beforehand. They will not hesitate to take this objective on spawn point. Yes, Venomcrest have given away a tower. Yes, they've given away a couple of kills. But this definitely feels like a perfect game. It has been clinical. It has been precise League of Legends from Venomcrest, who have practically not put a foot wrong this game.
Yeah, we can see by the time this replay already starts, most of DMG staggered out. The Ari's gone, the Vi's gone. By the time Pighead gets swinging in the backside, with Steven there to help, it is already too late as Venomcrest break the dive. Let's have a look at lane assignments real quick. Real fan of Eno being away from this Baron setup with his teleport. And indeed, once that jungle has been cleared, the rest of Venomcrest will come forwards over the mid line, clear out the vision. DMG have left behind. DMG hoping that some of those wards survives. They can try and get a pick. They can try and find an angle for their own dive forwards. 7,000 gold is not to be sniffed at, but if you find the pick, if you take out KZ, the damage profile of Venomcrest does fall relatively quickly. Mid T1 will fall at 19 minutes. So, not all is lost for DMG, as they are keeping control of this river. But for how long?
Bartholdi looking to make the play. Can't quite push Rowdy into the wall, and Venomcrest will back away. And I like how you bring up the idea of, DMG are still getting these little snippets of gold here and there. And kind of a little fun fact. The start of the Four Nations Autumn Split came with a DMG win against Venomcrest of all teams, and I was wondering, heading into the playoffs, this is the first round of the playoffs. Could DMG do it again and start off strong, but currently it does look like Venomcrest are carrying that incredible momentum from the end of regular season to the start of playoffs.
Yeah, there's substitutions really sort of hitting home that this version of Venomcrest hits hard, hits fast. I do love that you brought up that early win, Milky Zero, because you'll actually remember Venomcrest had functionally won that game till Steven's Tom Kench Lick stole an Elder Dragon. DMG never short on clutch factor, and despite the flash away from Shroud already being burned there for very little investment, despite DMG falling down in this game, that clutch factor never, ever leaves till the Nexus is gone.
Absolutely the case. 5.5k goal lead for Venomcrest. DMG certainly need that clutch factor. I don't even know if a clutch factor is enough. They need a double clutch factor. They need a miracle to come back into this one. And they are going to teleport. They want to play around this Baron. But Bartoldi looking to turn around. The shockwave is beautiful. Venomcrest, do not hesitate to turn honor to the Ari and Irel. There will be no clutch factor from the DMG support. And Venomcrest look towards the Baron once again.
Yeah, it's all too fast. There's no angle for a teleport from Pighead. There's no way to assemble the members of DMG before Venomcrest assemble, pick their poison, and take out the Worm at 22 minutes. Nice and fast. Venomcrest, another thing that's giving me great confidence in their play right now. They accelerated relatively early, and they're still going. They're not stumbling. They're not second-guessing themselves. They're not holding on to something that they don't need to for an undue amount of time. It's quite exciting. With the Baron going through, they're now looking to that Mountain Soul, and they'll try and 1-2-3 this game all the way to DMG's Nexus.
This is where we expected DMG to be. Okay, sure, not with an 8k goal lead, but with 3 Drakes. The team being ahead, trying to close out this game before Venomcrest scaled, and now Venomcrest are in a position where they can say, hey, you know, even if we give away a kill, that's fine. DMG can't get anything substantial. What they can get, maybe a single Drake, maybe a Baron, but that is all. Bartoldi is waiting. He's looking for Shroudy Rowdy. Oh, it's a bit of a misplay for Venomcrest. They don't sync up their abilities, and 1 kill will go the way of DMG. Can they follow up? Oh, fast-legged, you absolute monster on the Rakan. Turns it around. 2 for 1 for Venomcrest. Pighead looking for the backline. What can he do on this Aatrox? Not quite enough. Flashing forward. Then the damage is disgusting onto the backline with a grand entrance comes fast-legged. And it is DMG on the run. KZ flashing forward. He could not care less about DMG, and what started off looking promising for DMG, Venomcrest turn into their favor.
It looked so rough there. Bartoldi shoving members of DMG out of the way of KZ's arrow. A little miscommunication, a little bit of difficulty. However, everything you commit to taking the Poppy out to remove the bulwark from Venomcrest can't be used on fast-legged. Can't stop the Rakan's approach. Can't stop KZ as he unleashes a hailstorm onto DMG. This will be the Dragon Soul, and I think Venomcrest should be aiming now to end this game before the Elder Dragon spawns. They are well and truly on their way to a Game 1 victory.
KZ is channeling his inner Legolas with this game. An absolute monster with the bow and arrow. And look at who his best friend is. It's someone with a hammer. It's literally Gimli playing the Poppy.
Milky, which way is it to Isengard? Is it that bottom left
follow
corner?
The hobbits.
I think it's that bottom left corner. I think they've taken the hobbits to the Blue Nexus, and we've got to go check. We've got to go find out. Is it that guy? Is he hiding?
Oh, we found it.
Yep. Okay.
Wait, are those the twin towers then?
The 2 towers.
The 2 towers. It's been too long since I watched Lord of the Rings. I think I need to rewatch it. It's
Absolutely.
been a while.
Blu-rays are sat on my shelf. It's gonna be a good time this Christmas.
So who would the hobbits be? Vhagar?
No, I mean it's Frodo and Sam. Or actually, in this case, it's Merry and Pippin.
You know what I'm
they are
talking
kidnapped.
about.
And just talking of kidnap, KZ, that tower health bar didn't last too long till it did it, buddy.
Oh, Bartoldi just going over the wall. I don't know if the team were ready for this, but down goes the tower. DMG are going to be forced to fight this, and Venomcrest will win it. Bartoldi stepping forward, out comes the blade corner, but he's just so darn tanky. Even the camera doesn't know what's going on right now. Venomcrest slaughtering DMG, the teleports are coming in, and Venomcrest are looking to make the final push into DMG's base.
What confidence will go rescue those hobbits, Venomcrest? Nice and clean, step by step, only a minor falter to be seen. 25-4, a huge statement in game 1.
What a performance from Venomcrest. They take game 1 against DMG. Their backs are against the wall, and Venomcrest are looking to clean 2-0 this.
That was fast. This best of 3. Not the biggest sort of sense of comfort. There is no best of 5. There is little deep meta. DMG now under huge pressure to adapt, to break that snowball that Venomcrest got rolling.
But with that, we're going to head into a short break. And when we return, our analysts are going to break down what was an absolute clinic by the side of Venomcrest and take us into game 2 of this series. Stay tuned.
After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it.
Yo, look, I ain't saying that I'm rich, cause if I'm honest, I've never been. But when I look at all these other kids, I feel just a little bit ahead of them. You should know the business is competitive. There's a lot of people that I'm better than. Even veterans ain't got the knowledge I do. I've been reinvesting all I ever spent. Stop pretending like you poppin'. Who been out here making profit? Told my mama that I got this. I wonder if she noticed what my job is. I don't know how I'ma make it, but I know no matter what, I'm finna find a way. All my homies finna eat and I ain't letting no one on my team look at an empty plate. Yeah. Went from a boy to a man. Ay, every day been making plans. Ay, they don't really understand. Ay, gotta look out for the family. I won't fall for any scam. Yeah, only worried about the fans. Yeah, I won't compromise the brand. Yeah, I've been saving up the bands. Whoa.
After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. After I get it, I reinvest. Stack and put it back in it. Rappers spending money in some really funny ways, man. I promise you, man, really getting paid. Yeah, show a couple bands flexing on the Instagram, and nobody getting fans that way. Yeah, well, you really dumb if you spending all your funds on some clothes and your tape need work. Yeah, you ain't gonna stand if you win a businessman, man. I promise you, the pen ain't gonna work. Yeah, rappers spending money in some really funny ways, man. I promise you, man, really getting paid. Yeah, show a couple bands flexing on the Instagram, and nobody getting fans that way. Yeah, well, you really dumb if you spending all your funds on some clothes and your tape need work. Yeah, you ain't gonna stand if you win a businessman, man. I promise you, the plan ain't gonna work. Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody, to the analyst desk. Venomcrest Serpents taking a big win in game number 1 over DMG UK. There was some life out of DMG in that early stage, but overall, once VNC got control, they did not let it go. They looked very, very confident, again, pushing through from that mid-jungle duo. We built them up earlier on, and how much that Galul addition has kind of opened up Bartholdi as well, and both of them were absolutely on fire here today. So, let's take a look at this game. First of all, I want to focus a little bit on this top side. We'll have a couple of replays coming your way shortly, but Rail, we did see a pretty impressive performance out of Pighead, right, from the lane. You know, we know that Aatrox wasn't supposed to win early, and yeah, he did pretty well.
Yeah, Pighead turned into Big Head and generally had a good showing. At the start of this fight, he literally interrupts Poppy, stopping her getting fully involved, which was one of the big factors to why they won that fight straight away. Poppy didn't get the target they wanted to get, and Aatrox was still just free hitting on the back. You can see it here, gets the interrupt, Poppy walks away, Aatrox gets to walk in, and this is exactly what he wants. The only downside I said about this is, unfortunately, Pighead rushed steel caps. If you went Finch, this fight would have been done a lot quicker and a lot cleaner, for sure, but they get the picks they want. But then it just completely gets turned on its head here.
Yeah, he comes in the back. He's trying to do it all, right, Chica? Like, he comes in, has to be the hero, but it's just a bit too much to ask.
Wants to find something, anything, but by the time he arrives, the entire team has fallen subject to the Serpents. It was a good showing. It really, really was. It just wasn't quite enough.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you pick the Aatrox, you know you're supposed to lose early, you go into your steel caps, you're ready to gracefully scale through the laning phase. Didn't expect to be crushing it so hard, you know, should have got that pickaxe, should have bet on yourself. But into Inno, you know, for sure, it was certainly a rare off lane for Inno, and Pighead certainly looking like he's playing on form today, but the rest of DMG certainly did not look super duper hot right here. We spoke a little bit about the Ahri when it came through. None of us on this desk are pumped about Ahri, ever. None of us like Ahri. We don't like seeing Ahri. And you know what we like even less, Chica? We don't like Merktread's first Ahri. No, sir, please. You know?
You're gonna make Zika blow up. Like, you're just making a ticking time bomb here. They already want to blow up from the Xayah alone, and the Merktread just makes it worse.
We haven't got there yet. Yeah, it's like a frustrating game for Chica to watch, that's for sure.
I was tearing my hair out in the green room.
Yeah, it was a stressful one. Let's take a look at our other replay first, and then we'll get a bit more into the weeds and look forward into the next game. Chica, I know that you wanted to speak on this top lane dive. This is the last fight before the end of the game, and you wanted to just talk us through about how it plays out, some specific interactions, and then once it comes up, you can talk us through it. But
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I saw this fight happen, and I was like, I need to talk about this. The shockwave arrow onto Yang doesn't featherstorm it because he wasn't expecting it, and the featherstorm wasn't up. A beautiful thread of the needle by KZ just completely annihilates the AD carry from getting to have any kind of play in this fight. And this is the kind of fight that Xayah wants to play. They're coming into you. You have everything you need. You can get a good pullback. You've had so many of them this game. But suddenly your front line has been shunted to the side by a shockwave, and you're being nailed in the face by an arrow you have no hope in hell of dodging. Just so well done from Galul and KZ. I don't know if it was intentional, but it looked and felt so good to watch that I can give nothing but commendations for how that fight was played.
I honestly think it probably likely was intentional, right, Rail? There was such coordination in that fight with the Poppy over the wall into the Orion. Oh, you know, and we could see them setting it up right early. The Poppy was waiting, ready for the call to go in.
I feel like just Venomcrest coordination this game was just really cracked. Like, as soon as they went bot as a 4-man, they instantly looked to go straight top with the momentum. They just knew what they wanted to do straight away. And even though you're playing at Oriana, they said, we don't need to be in lane anymore. Like, mid's already won. I don't need to be here. And Galul was just leading the charge with Bartholdi wherever he went, following him. Also, big props to Fastleg because he did the exact same. Said Ash wins alone. We can go wherever you want, and we goon squad. And it was just absolutely disgusting from them. And because of that, we do end up with DMG on the red side with this next draft, what we're going to come up to.
Yeah, we've seen so much priority onto the blue side, I feel like, in the lead up, and then even through the early stages of Worlds, and then with the Orianna meta coming in, where you can just have such a strong B1 pick in multiple lanes. And now, as of the last couple of weeks, mysteriously on Live and on Worlds, which is patches behind, red side has suddenly risen up, and suddenly everybody is performing better on the red side, and they're getting way more win rates there. So it is interesting to see that come through, that dichotomy, and switching to the counter side, Sheikah.
Yeah, I mean, the big reason for it is a lot of the strong first picks. You know, for a while we had Sejuani, we had Maokai, Ivern reared his head for a while. We had so many different champions that were just immediate. This is mine, you don't get to have it, I'm forcing you to pick the other. But since those have fallen out of favor, you don't really have anything you can safely, like, not a power pick you can safely say, mine. You don't get, this is mine. Orianna, sure, you can make the argument. Xayah, you can make the argument. Personally, not a fan of first picking either of them for various reasons that I'll get onto a little bit later on. Red side, however, first pick, your first pick is a counter pick. Your third pick is a counter pick. Your fifth pick is a counter pick. Realistically, all you are blinding is 2 and 4, and that is a terrifying prospect, especially against a team like DMG, who already have such a narrow playstyle that Venomcrest can just kind of say, okay, we'll take everything that you give us because we can play it. And when you have counters against a team that has a very linear, very one-dimensional playstyle, it's very, very easy to just run away with the game. So I've seen DMG flip. This is their time to say, okay, we can do that too. You can tell us, you can show us your hand, and we'll pull out the ace in our sleeve.
Yeah, I think the flip to the red side here for DMG, as you pointed out there, Sheikah, something you mentioned, the kind of narrow play style of DMG. It's nice to try and get those counters, right? You don't want to put yourself into blind. We've seen some of the blind matchups that didn't work well versus Venomcrest in this first game. But if you take red and you want to push these important picks to the counter side into your second rotation, how many of our picks are we going to have left by the second rotation, right? We saw the Ahri come out very early, the Irelia denied, the Qiyana not comfortable. We just kind of limited in that mid lane specifically, right? We saw Pighead's got plenty of answers. Jungle's probably fine in terms of the pick. The Vi is a perfectly serviceable pick, right, to take early on. But Rail, in terms of that mid lane, it does seem like maybe we are... Do we want to push this to second rotation, I guess, is the question at the heart of this, or do you think it is still worth to try and prioritize that lane to get a good matchup even on the red side?
Probably for DMG, second rotation at the moment, because they don't want to play Orianna when it was open. They could have first picked that. I know Yika said there is picks into it, but it's still very strong if you build a comp around it. They didn't want to pick the Talia either, because that would have kept them guessing. Because Rel can go jungle, Talia can go jungle and mid, so you would have had that flexibility. You wouldn't have revealed too much. It would have been a guessing game. But they didn't want to pick that either. Fell back to the Ahri. I've said this before. I don't like DMG when they pick Ahri. It just doesn't work for them every time I played it. Other than when there's subs on it, it hasn't looked great.
Yeah.
The other big thing with the idea of this Talia is it opens you up to have those AD mid laners. The Qiyana suddenly becomes a lot more serviceable with something like that. I'm not a huge fan of the Orianna for the same reason I don't like the Xayah first pick, and it's because it defines what your comp wants to do. So giving away something like that really early can completely annihilate any kind of chance you have of playing that comp out effectively. Kind of the same thing I brought up with Xayah in that last game, where you immediately show, okay, you can pick poke and my champion doesn't exist. With Orianna, it's very much a case of you pick anything that can just aggress on me in lane, and I'm not going to scale into the game quick enough.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see. I do think the Talia is very, very good because we know Shroudy plays it, and we know it enables you to have those AD mid laners that Jinyu has looked so comfortable on, and there haven't been any substitutions, so I think that has to be the angle you're looking at for this game.
Yeah, I mean, I've just been checking back on the previous champions that we've seen coming out of Shinyu, and we've seen the Sylas a couple of times that did decently well, and we've seen, obviously, the Tristana that we mentioned in the pregame, right? And into Orianna, Tristana is perfectly fine, where we can clear waves and step back easily. You can potentially threaten the all-in dies on the 1 versus 2, because she doesn't have the great mobility, right? So I think maybe the Tristana could have been an option that we could see come through here, but yeah, it depends on if they want to prioritize that through Shroudy. or if they have something else hidden up the sleeves for us. As they are now 1-0 down, it's time to bring out the big guns, bring out the secret strats, as a team coached by Torok. We mentioned, I think Tempora was saying to us in the green room, neither of them went super creative in game one. They were both pulling out strong ideas, right? We didn't love some of them in context. We don't love the Ahri in context, but Vi Ahri is not a completely false idol, at the end of the day. So we might see a little bit more out there stuff from DMG coming into the second lane with their series on the line, and then Venomcrest, we might just see them kind of run it back, because it seems like they're pretty comfortable, right? Even with KZ off the carries.
Yeah,
Chico.
they definitely do look very, very comfortable. But if memory serves, I think I remember reading somewhere that DMG is a Chinese exchange student team. And,
Largely, yeah.
This year is the year of the rabbit. So, they probably felt pretty safe, pretty comfortable. Venomcrest, after, their stint in NLC Div 2, completely stomping there and taking first, looking to do the same here. Is it just the year of the Serpents? Are we being completely... Are we just completely, ignoring the rabbit, ignoring the dragon next year? Yeah. Is it snake? Is it serpent? Should we be scared of this?
They're breaking time and space right now. They're winding it forward, skipping to the year of the serpent to devour the rabbit right now.
Skipping. They're slithering. They're making that way to the final. That's what they're after. They're after to see if they can get the rematch with Tempest.
Slide up the bracket. Yeah. So we all want to see that, right? That rematch potentially in the next round. For Tempest, I think we might see it. And I feel like we've said this so many times that throughout the season, we're like, now this team. This is the challenger for Tempest. This team, they're going to do it. It's DMG, they're going to do it. Ruddy, they're going to do it. Ruddy's going to do it. Venomcrest, we don't have time to see the matchup. Close. Or we'll see it in playoffs. They're going to do it. So we'll see if our latest candidate can finally get them over the line. And as long as Tempest start picking Yasuo bot, then maybe they'll... maybe it'll be do it.
Small off topic. Some of these teams are a lot better in this best of 3 format. And one we'll get to later in the week is that Belfast. They've always done good in the best of 3 format, so a lot is to be waiting and seeing. So nonetheless, we've still got a draft for this one.
Yeah, for sure. We've seen the Belfast losers runs of times past, but the draft is upon us for game number 2. Let's see how much stays the same so far. The Jarvan and the Maokai maintaining their position. We're looking out for things like the Irelia as well. Coming out of Venomcrest is an eye away from Shinyu, and there it is. And I guess, is there anything that we need to adjust from DMG's side in the ban phase? Do you think that there's something they can take away from Venomcrest, Chica, that maybe was kind of rocking the boat a bit? I know, Rael, you're nodding your head as well. I feel like you've got an idea.
I was going to say, it's something with a bull. It might just be one of the strongest champions on current patch. It might be.
Yeah, maybe. The Lord's happy to pick it now. He's unlocked it, he's bought it on the store, he's finally earned enough blue essence to get it done, and now he's pulling it out. So the Cassante also joining it, Inno not going to get a chance to that one, and remember Pighead did have a good matchup in there, but no need to give Inno his favourite pick just because you won one laning phase. So we'll see how that top lane matchup develops. If he wants to go back to Renekton, maybe they can threaten another B1 up there. And the Rumble denied way from Pighead in the same ilk. So looking for B1 to Venomcrest, if the Orianna isn't the B1,
I guess. Trialing KZ, I beg of you.
Which it can't be.
Do not first. Thank you. Oh, that's so much
We've not Xayah. Yeah, we've not done the first pick Xayah, which would, I think, have ruined Chica forever. This early in the playoffs, we need Chica to survive until further into the bracket. So, thank you very much, Venomcrest, for not doing that to us. The Rakan, a very solid pick, works into a variety of AD, with a variety of AD carries, into a variety of playstyles.
We talked about this a bit before the game started.
If it happens, I'm a prophet. All I'm saying.
If this is the actual, so it could just be a Senna Tom. We've seen the Tom from Steven before. Senna Tom's still very solid, right? Senna gives you a lot of options down there. You've got Seraphine's Toms, Swain's, certain other champions that we've seen, but it is going to be the Tom Kent. So we're locking down a solid bot lane in case it goes, okay, we had to ban the Orianna, so we'll take the Jinx. So, how do we feel about this matchup down here while the Renekton comes in?
I actually don't like that as much as the Xayah. I mean, Xayah kind of just gets to a point where she's outranged by Senna, but so does Jinx. And the pressure that Xayah Rakan 2v2 gives you, even this early in the draft phase, is very, very strong, especially when you know you're into Senna Tahm Kench. You're not going to get poked out of lane as easily because the Senna can't really get to you because there's a Rakan in the way, and the Tahm Kench can't get to you because there's a Rakan in the way. I'm interested as to the Jinx pick here. It's a very strong pick, but you're sacrificing pressure and teamfight stability for what is just a strong pick. I'm curious to see how it plays out and if it's just a comfort thing for KZ.
And now ban Poppy. No.
No. Whoops. We flubbed it.
So all you have to do, you know exactly how they played last game, was Poppy, Rakan, Goon Squad, followed by whatever champion Galore will play in these games.
Yeah.
That's all it's going to be. I don't understand why they thought Ivern is going to be the next fixture, because I think they'd rather play against Ivern than Poppy from what they just had.
Yeah, possible off-stage knowledge coming into that ban. We'll have to see. DMG had the Graves banned away, had the Kiana banned away, interestingly, and went back to Shroudy Rowdy's Talia. So we have room for an AD mid. It is still only one real AP source in Shroudy Rowdy, so it's not the end of the world, I think, taking an AP mid here as well. It makes the itemization easier, but in terms of overall composition, it's not terrible, as the Azir comes in for Galore.
The scary thing about taking an AP mid here is Azir likes to... Okay, the Azir... I'll get onto that in a second. The Azir likes to be able to just like slam magic resistant runes and exist perfectly fine, because you're going crown at the end of the day anyway. But both Irelia and Kiana are banned, so Jinyu really having to step back and say, what other AD champions have I got in my champion pool?
There's one.
And it is the Jace.
I was waiting for this. I was waiting for this so much. Like, when I was already talking about Talia Jace is one of the strongest combos. It's so free, it's so good, and Jace is so good into Azir. Like,
I don't like it here.
I love it. I'm going to disagree with you every day of the week. Like, Jace is so good
by
in
all
this
means, but I will explain to you as to why.
Okay.
The Senna build, as of late, we're looking at a more crit-centric build. You're looking at a more traditional AD carry build. You're not looking at saying, okay, I'm going to go Eclipse, I'm going to auto-Q you, you're going to lose half your health, and Jace can finish you off. You're also looking at very heavy teamfight with Aatrox and Tahm Kench. While we do tend to see a mix of teamfight and poke come out a lot more recently on patches, I don't think Jace Talia is the way to do it, because Talia is still a relatively short-range mage. So you're in a very dangerous subsect of area where your Jace is really your only poke, and he doesn't like to team fight into the enemy comp. The enemy comp is a very standard, we're going to team fight, we're going to ball up, we're not going to let you exist, with Rakan, Jinx, Azir, Trundle, or Renekton. You have a good engage/disengage tool in the Emperor's Divide. You've got a very stable, I'm going to sit back and fire at you AD carry. You've got something to shred through the Tahm Kench as he starts to get tankier, and two very good space buyers in Rakan and Renekton. So, while, in isolation, Talia Jace is a very good combo, in the overall draft and the overall game, I really don't like it here. And I think if this is the gauntlet that DMG are throwing down, this has to be tried and true and practiced for it to really work properly.
So I'm going to agree to disagree, because this is a comp what can 1-4, it can 1-3-1. It's a very good comp into what it wants to do. And Jace and Talia becomes such a good goon squad of, if Talia gets a knockback, you're pretty much dead to rights, because Jace will run one rotation you at that point. As long as Jace gets to Dirk in lane safe without dying, this combo will be very deadly. And obviously with Aatrox already having a good game last game into the Renekton, it opens up more potential to do that 1-3-1, because Talia can join these side lanes so fast.
The other really interesting thing to think about with this Jace is look at how many ways you've got to cancel to the skies. To the skies is so much of your damage once you actually do get into a team fighting situation, but you're looking at Grand Entrance quickness, you're looking at Flame Chompers, you're looking at Emperor's Divide, you're looking at Ice Pillar, you're looking at Ruthless Predator. There are so many, and you've also just got flashes and dashes to dodge away from the damage of it. If To the Skies doesn't land, this Jace is up the creek without a paddle, dead to rights himself. So I don't like it here. I really don't.
This is good.
I think something like the Tristana would be better.
It makes my job very easily when I have this level of disagreement, because I can just sit and watch, and I can just be like, I don't know who wins. I'm Emerald 4, you know? I have no idea what I'm doing, so...
Because it's great to say that 5 champions are going to use all their things to stop one champion, because it's just not going to be the scenario, because there's too many different variables in this comp, and that's why it will work in the comp, because there is different variables. Jace isn't going to walk at you dead on and be like, I'm going to disguise you, and sorry, but Rakan will just W you then you're dead. Like, I get that point.
So are we expecting that DMG, if we avoid the pitched battles, the 5v5s, the front to backs, we have more of a chance to leverage split push, to leverage the comp that they have, but if they walk into basic objective fights without much prep, without much flank, without much cross map, they are now putting themselves into a position where they become subject to the Venomcrest kind of long range front to back, much more preferable scenario. So we're looking for DMG to play the map in a more complex way to use this composition.
They want to get picks, ideally. They want Talia playing in the fog of war. They want to get rid of Vision and have Talia pop someone into their team and instantly nuke them. That's what they want to do around objectives. Otherwise, objective fights are going to be very, very difficult for them. The front to back of Venomcrest is very difficult to play against. And if they don't get flanks as well on top of that, it is going to be very difficult for DMG. But I do like the way DMG is adapted with this draft.
Okay, with that, I believe we are going into game. I've had production in my ear. So for that, we'll find out who is able to execute this comps. We'll see which of these comps comes out on top. We'll see if the Jace was a good idea or a bad one. But for now, let's get into game number 2. Venomcrest on the cusp of advancing. DMG perhaps going down into the lower bracket or keeping this series alive. Back over to Milky Cereal and Temporal for game number 2.
Temporal, if I remember correctly, during game 1, you mentioned how when DMG beat Venomcrest at the start of regular season, it was at the hands of a tongue. Steven's tongue, no less, on this time, Ked. We have the DK back. Let's MasterChef this up.
Absolutely. And we also said in game 1, you know, neither of these compositions push the boundaries of League of Legends, push the comfort zones of both teams. Bartoldi's whipped out the trundle, and you know, it's not unusual for himself, but it's definitely different. It's slightly outside the metagame as we call it today, and I think it's fair DMG are likely showing that their backs are up against the wall here. The Jace is pretty cool. It's pretty hard execution against something like this. I think the Rakan fast-legged had a fantastic game of evading DMG's mitigating factors against him in game 1, and this time there are less of them. And he's got an even higher range hyper carry behind him. DMG have got a lot of work to do if they're going to make that. Wow, I've pulled a blank on their jungler's name. Pick it away, Milky Zero.
Blank's an ADC, but he's not playing in this series.
Oh dear, fast-legged.
It had to be done. Fast-legged is slow-legged because he's been licked. And that's what
but he
licking
got
does.
the experience. Okay, we'll look to see if that makes a difference. I think with it shared, neither of them should be coming up a minion early. Yeah, Talia, as it turns out, really, really strong at mitigating the Rakan mitigating the all-in. I am going straight back over that. From something like the Azir. However, it's pretty easy. She falls victim herself.
We've got a level there. We're not calling her Talia, right?
Talia. Potatoes, potatoes.
Potatoes. Well, we are into lane. Senator Tomkins coming through. It has been rather disgusting after I think he got buffed or something. I've seen it in a few solo queue games. And
the Sena's doing numbers right now. I think it's fair to say.
But will it be able to get DMG through this early game? Because weirdly, in game 1, DMG had the earlier game composition, but it was Venomcrest who were able to be the proactive team, who were able to consistently find the right positioning around objectives, win out the skirmishing, and DMG were never able to get back into the game. Now with Saber Avalon on this Jace, should be able to really hard bully Galul, even if Galul can get, let's say, an early first blood.
It's definitely going to be a more exciting mid lane. The Ahri put down very early, so we didn't get to see a lot of life out of Saber Avalon last game. Bartoldi here is just going to be up the side, and, you know, Galul's Azir, very strong pick for a very talented mid laner. We'll see what he manages to do. So currently, we just want to get this wave in. It seems like Galul wants to be out of lane for a little while.
A little pillar dropped into the mid lane, and that is going to be all from Bartholdi. Now, it's been a long time since I kind of saw Trundle in the meta, but one thing that I do remember is that Trundle is really, really good at dealing with tanks. And I look at Steven on that time, Kench, and I'm like, Bartholdi's got one job, and that is to get through the TK.
I think if they ever meet in the side lane, and Rail sort of alluded to this, DMG comp can assign itself a number of ways. It is somewhat gated by how well this bot lane goes. If you do share farm and you're not trying to optimize the Senna by letting her farm a bit later, eventually we'll run out of steam or run behind the curve. And then, of course, Steven would have to be in a different lane to farm. But with less gold than to carry himself. So you got a bit of a precarious position. I wouldn't have minded something a bit more like T1. Spoilers if you've not seen Worlds. A Senna Neela there, the answer, because Senna is just so good at pushing over the all-in. And Tom Kench, while he can start those, not the biggest DPS threat. Bartholdi will spot Yang. Nothing to come of it, though, at this stage. Just a hello, how are you?
Yeah, Bartholdi just being a bit of a nuisance, just dropping pillars around, get a few slows, and then I
love that. That's
away.
peak Trundle.
Literally peak.
All right, not having as explosive an early game as last time, I think it's fair to say. Unfortunately, didn't quite get the extended rage on the W there. And it uses his armor shred on the minions backwards to teleport in, and that top laner should be just fine.
And this is that mid lane 2v2 strength that we were expecting to see from DMG, utilizing this Talia Jace combo. This time round, Saber Avalon can't fully get on top of Galul, and they're just going to be content with chunking down some of that health. There's now Venomcrest looking to trade into DMG in the bottom lane.
Yeah, hero minion there just ate the zap. else Yang would have felt that a bit more. Applying a little bit of chip damage to the center doesn't really matter too much. A few Qs later, it's not really going to land. Senna also currently runs the fleet footwork, so you can just get one auto attack in every wave, or try and pick up a champion, and you are not so vulnerable in the lane.
Now, this game is still very reminiscent of what we saw in Game 1. It was very quiet for the first, I think it was 7.5 minutes we saw the first blood. Maybe we'll get it a little bit earlier here in Game 2. Locking down Pighead as Bartholdi, trying to run him down, but his own pillar is getting in the way, and Pighead will be able to get under the safety of his tower without burning his flash.
Yeah, nice movement around the pillar, and of course, great timing on the chains. Buys Pighead his life. Could try and be pushed off here. He's going to hold on to his tower position for now. Shroudy Rowdy potentially picked out. Here comes Eno.
Onto Bartholdi, but Eno's actually going to get to this play before Pighead can. Now, this is a 2v2. Saber Avalon is on his way up. This is going to turn it into a 3v2. Eno flashing forward, looking for the play. Nice seismic shove. Can Shroudy get out of this? Blast cone. Shroudy's out to safety. Pighead gets first blood. DMG onto the scoreboard, and now they are looking for the Renekton, but Eno is going to be able to slink his way out to safety. DMG will happily take first blood.
I think it's first time this series we can say Saber Avalon has had priority over the Galul. And yeah, unless went for the Talia as fast as possible there, ran out of time, did Venomcrest, and Saber Avalon able to come up, convert. Even though they don't pick up kill credit, will get the experience, and will assist DMG in getting first blood.
But even kind of thinking back to that play, it was so close for Venomcrest to be able to get that kill onto Shroudy Rowdy, being able to get first blood, and then maybe Pighead wouldn't have even been able to get a kill of his own. Shroudy Rowdy kind of getting caught out. Seismic shove comes through, but Galul is looking for the play. Has the 6, has the Emperor's Divide, but Pighead says, I want some bird for dinner. They now turn their attention towards Bartholdi in a 1v3, and DMG get their second kill of the game.
I really like Galul going in and getting the shuffle off. Unfortunately, he's still at numbers disadvantage, even though he evades the Talia Pebbles. And with that, DMG go to 2. Venomcrest, they need to take a moment here, need to realize that this isn't the same as Game 1. They're not still ahead right now. They need to take stock and play for their win conditions rather than just ham-fisting these engages.
And I feel like this is a really good example of kind of game one bias. You come out of game one, a game where you played really well, where you had the advantage, and you go into game two, and a part of your mind still thinks that you have that gold lead, you have that advantage, you can take slightly riskier fights. The gold's reset, you're still playing against a composition that is much stronger than you early on, and Venomcrest disrespecting it like they did in game one, but unlike game one, they don't have enough of a lead, and DMG are punishing them fantastically.
Yeah, and it goes even further. A composition that you can't walk into easily. This Trundle twice now has been absolutely played like a puppet by Shroudy Rowdy. Just holds him at arm's length, pops him up over the stones, makes the approach difficult. With that, DMG moving into the river now. Their jungler should probably finish off the camps to continue that smooth scaling and continue their advantage, as Fast-Legged will be picked out.
Oh, he's locked up, able to dash out to safety. Shroudy Rowdy making his way over. Seismic Shot flashed away by the Rakan. DMG are looking feisty. They're looking for plays. They're looking creative.
Yeah, I think not giving up here. I don't know what sort of team talk Tarek came out with between games, but it's definitely working. DMG look to start up their first objective. They'll even cover the cross map on top side. I think this is slightly better. We sort of spoke about it earlier. Finishing your camps on that side of the map, the best way to prolong your advantage. Let's not talk about Dragon, just potentially griefing it back as Eno goes all in. Will fall away.
Well, we'll kind of brush over what just happened in the bottom lane. You mess with the Dragon messes with you now. DMG have not got their resets through, and Venomcrest want to take this opportunity at getting the first Drake themselves. And you have to think, if it wasn't for that little slip-up from DMG, a slip-up that is a complete forced error. It's the equivalent of in tennis, just missing both of your serves. That would be an objective Venomcrest would not have been able to secure. It's now our top lane that's duking it out. Will we see the all-in? No ultimates available. It's an ultless fight. Pighead, so much damage with the Qs, but not quite able to get the kill.
All right, Shroudy Rowdy is up here. Bartholdi did pay with his ability to farm his camps there, so he does pick up the objective for his team, but he's shown on vision through mid. He's massively behind. He's not going to be able to touch his bot camps. This Trundle will start to struggle as Eno misses another wave. We get a bit more equal in the top lane. I was so excited to see if he used that second bar of rage to, go for a slice dice through the minion, drop the armor, try and drop Pighead, but it would have been absolutely on the knife's edge.
And now it's the Rift Herald that has been started up by Venomcrest. They might be 1,000 gold down against DMG, who have this early composition. Let me stress that once again. But still, it's Venomcrest who are looking to completely secure both objectives in these opening 11 minutes.
Somehow. Venomcrest, hold on. It likely is playing with their jungler CS, playing with a bit of tempo. It did delay their bot lane as returning, so their CS lead slightly diminished. Bartholdi now looking to force in mid.
Saber Avalon flashing out of that Emperor's Divide, and Venomcrest searching for the kills. And I don't want to be too harsh on DMG because they do still have the goal lead, but it's paining me that they have this composition, right? And they're not able to get Saber Avalon to this Rift Herald. They're giving Venomcrest not just ways for Venomcrest to get gold, but it's stopping DMG from being able to accelerate their lead, and I am getting worried that this is going to lead to a situation where DMG can't get enough of the lead, and we get to about 25-30 minutes, and Venomcrest then completely turn this game around.
I'm not too worried. That gold lead did extend because of them staying in those lanes. They now do have to make the most of it as we look towards next objectives. You do have to convert that extra golden experience you get by staying in lane compared to moving to the Rift Herald or the Dragon, or off of your jungle camps into meaningful advantage. Shroudy Rowdy here is holding his flash, holding on to everything, just waiting for this wave to come over the line. Try and score something onto KZ. Oh man, it's a 3v3, alright.
And don't forget, it's Venomcrest who have the element of surprise. I have a feeling that Venomcrest knows Shroudy Rowdy is around. Bartholdi stepping forward, but does get somewhat spotted out, and Venomcrest will just back away as DMG just searching for a play, but Venomcrest not really giving them the angle, the opportunity to find a fight.
Yeah, I think this Jinx happier the later she goes. I think between Rakan and Renekton, it's quite likely you're getting your first reset handed to you on a platter, especially if it's shuffled back into you by Galul's Asir. And it's interesting to see the way this other games are going. You're right, it's frustrating. DMG didn't manage to convert an objective. They're not massively behind because of such, but they do need to use that somewhere. Looking at across the map, we are 1 minute away from final bases before, as Galul shuffles in again.
There is no flash on the Jace this time around, although Saber Avalon does so much damage with a teleport as well. A seismic shove to boot. DMG want this play onto Bartoldi, but Venomcrest are just surviving for so darn long. And the teleport to turn it back around for Venomcrest. Ino picks up the kill, and Venomcrest answered DMG.
A little bit of miscommunication from DMG. It seemed like they pulled all the stops out. They pulled the Weaver's Wall, the teleport in from Pighead's Aatrox to try and respond to the play. But when they did respond, it was just Pighead all on his lonesome. They got Saber Avalon out. Still relatively healthy. Could have probably continued at the edge of the fight with the Shreema shuffled down. But instead, they lose their top laner. And it will fade back into the obscurity of the map.
It just felt so bizarre because Saber Avalon did so much damage to Galul at the very start, and then it just seemed that he wasn't present in the fight and just had nothing else after he used that initial spell rotation.
Yeah, and just to highlight here, Galul's itemization, the Liandry's very, very strong in this setup. I'd have probably gone for the crown myself, more of a, bash your head against the wall or allow someone to try and bash their head into your defensive wall as a player on this patch. But after a Nash's comes through here and a penetration item of choice, depending who's fed, who's the target, into item 3, he's going to hit like an absolute machine.
You already see some of that damage coming through. A quick Q, soldiers do some poke onto Saber Avalon, and that is the amount of health that the Jace has lost, as Bartoldi may be looking to wrap his way around Saber Avalon. Maybe a dive could be incoming. That flash is still on CD Force, the Jace. But for now, Venomcrest just trying to get some vision and just searching for windows to make potential plays.
They've used their priority well. They will try and shuffle once more.
Oh, it's a shuffle into the grand entrance. The combination is clean for Venomcrest, and there is no way out for Saber Avalon. Venomcrest playing with such proactivity, and DMG just are not able to answer it, and Venomcrest now turn their attention towards the Drake.
A tragic overstep there. Saber Avalon was doing great damage, but a Jace at this stage in the game against your control mages, you need 3 or 4 rotations, 3 or 4 waves of that shock blast, and from really far away you then put the control mage in a difficult position, bring your jungler down, use that priority getting in and around. With Bartoldi there, Azir scored that off the first wave, and while he took some damage, Saber Avalon not respecting the greater position Venomcrest had on the map. They'll score their second dragon. And that stall you were worried about, Milky Cereal, very, very well, is coming to pass.
No, it is DMG looking for that potential play on top side. I don't really know how Shrouded Rad is going to follow up on this.
Desperate at best. Ino is still holding flash.
And has the ultimate as well. You have to feel that if DMG go for this, they're going to throw the game away even more, but they're not going under tower. Ino has potentially been caught out, forced to flash out of the Aatrox Q, and will be able to survive this one.
Yeah, not flashing before his health bar is reduced will allow DMG to actually score some tower damage. Plates not too long gone. No longer available all the same. Rotation up from Tom Kench is spotted. Looks like Venomcrest choosing to fight this. They're keeping Galul in range.
Last-legged is here. Venomcrest, particularly Galul, has been so good for Venomcrest this series. Game 1 completely shutting Saber Avalon out of the game. Galul now down to half health as DMG pushing on into the river. They have a temporary numbers advantage as Ino is slowly making his way in. Bartoldi getting caught out as Venomcrest just to try to get a little bit of mid-priority.
The Rift Herald is up. No one's holding a stopwatch. Galul relatively chunked. Pillar comes through.
Bartoldi stepping forward, he's taking a lot of damage, but can he get burnt down? Pighead is now the focus from the side of Venomcrest. But Venomcrest have some very low health bars looking at Bartoldi and Galul, both teams backing away. I think DMG will be quite happy with how this skirmish has turned out.
Yeah, that Jace now in a position of power. You saw the empowered shock blast over the wall. They'll look to rinse and repeat that before they go to the objective. So they command the mid wave, they gain priority. Traddy Raddy will start the objective as Pighead has already healed to full and teleported back in.
And this is what DMG want to do. They want to get to a situation where they can throw out Shock Blast into an approaching Venomcrest, where Venomcrest have to step through Tom Kench and Senna, walk into the minefield that is the unraveled earth of this Taliyah. And for the first time this series, DMG have got an objective.
And they've just scored a gold lead as well. Well and truly alive. And yeah, we could say that was making good use of their ability to stay in the waves. They're not risking anything. Galul could almost see. Remember, we do play with map packs on here, audience. We get to see everything at home. There were one or two angles for a deep shuffle there, but you're always risking going onto the Taliyah stones, going a little too aggressive, being the victim yourself.
Looking for the play here are DMG. Yang taking a bit of damage here, but KZ has been exhausted. Nice charm into a two-man grand entrance, and Bartoldi is here looking to turn this play around. Steven goes gobble, 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 tries to run with a center, and in comes Rowdy to turn the turn. Bartoldi forced the flash away from the seismic shove, as now DMG just making their way back under the safety of their outer tower.
Yeah, they lose Yang summoners, but in turn, Fastlegs burns his ultimate. Won't be able to do anything too stylish here, as the wave does go in. And with KZ on lower health, this is just going to be a quick check for vision, I feel, and a back off before that third dragon comes up as Venomcrest look to accelerate through objectives.
And let's not forget in the top lane, Inno has teleport, Pighead does not. And Pighead wants to get this damage down onto Inno, wants to get a play, as here is Saber Avalon. Flasher forward, they get the kill, they get the top laner. And with 48 seconds to Drake, this is a big pickup for DMG.
They might overextend here on the top side. Got to be careful about your bases as the Super Mega Death Rocket just goes a little wide. Would probably take out Pighead at this stage with that BF sword coming through. Ino does have the ability to contest the objective. Bartoldi will get started on the bottom side.
On the run, but running right into Fast-Legged, has the flash available, will go over the wall. A big cooldown no longer available for the side of DMG, and Venomcrest just looking to cancel these backs as much as possible. Yang will be able to get the reset off, but Steven cannot.
Alright, 10 seconds on the objective. Venomcrest potentially overextending and allowing the members of DMG to come together for this. They will get the tier 1 tower in addition. Let's see if they're going to try and set a trap here for Saber Avalon and friends to walk forwards into.
For now, DMG just going to go into the mid lane. Pighead trying to zone Galul away. Bartoldi taking this opportunity to get a bit of poke damage down on to the Aatrox. There comes the grand entrance. The teleport to follow up as well. Pighead is taking so much damage. Fast-Legged forced to go. One kill already going to the side of Venomcrest. And the Jinx is excited. Big Emperor's Divide for Galul. And it will turn the fight on its head. A triple kill for the Venomcrest mid laner, who has been playing out of his mind in this series.
Such patience to wait for a sweep and clean DMG off their own jungle. We saw Fast-Legged come in huge there. Galul, the original bait. Juicy at the end of the fishing rod. Oh, man.
Going in for another play, and Venomcrest are going to take the ace. Galul hiding in the bushes, waiting for DMG. And now Venomcrest have their first substantial goal lead of this game. They're taking yet another 21-minute Baron.
It looks just the same as last game, DMG. They've done better at the start. They tried to go for that greedy cross map. Galul read it like a book. Venomcrest here. They've got the 2 items on their mid. They've fully stacked up that Medjai's. They're in a commanding position. I love the redemption on the Trundle. It's great as a second item. Normally after your own mythic, you know, you'd hope for some damage. But instead, it's all the Trundle needs to offer this game. If DMG are coming back in, they haven't got an objective other than this potential hold on here. But with Venomcrest coming off base, this is a little too soon for DMG to contest.
It is a very nice redemption pickup for Venomcrest. Sadly for DMG, it does not look like they will be getting redemption in this series. Galul is just way too much of a raid boss. Has not even died in this series so far. When deathless in game 1, going deathless in game 2. He has been the playmaker for his team. And DMG just do not have an answer as Venomcrest get their 3rd Drake of the game. And I've got to be honest with you here, Temporal, this is starting to look a lot like game 1 now.
Yeah, commanding position, those objectives coming to realization before the soul comes through. And with their strength, Venomcrest has pushed down another tower. Those Baron empowered minions doing so much. Venomcrest looking lost for a moment. They have to pick up this mid wave if they want to continue to go as a group, or they have to concede this and go towards that top lane tower for something a little longer. Shroudy Rowdy flash forward, tried his hardest there to get a cheeky pick out, but it's looking a little bit desperate.
It is looking incredibly desperate for DMG. Let's not forget, if they lose this game, if they lose this series, they are not out of playoffs. They will drop down into the lower bracket, where they will be facing off the winner of Belfast Storm and Verzik Esports. And here comes another one of those plays for DMG. Will it be desperate though? It's looking good. Saber Avalon has the damage, looking for Bartoldi, who is still healthy with the subjugate. Fast-legged now looking for the flank. Into the backline he goes, and the super mega death rocket gets the kill. Ino into the backline, and is looking to find the damage. Yang will flash away, but Venomcrest will pick up a double kill for KZ. Pighead slowed by the zap and is being run down, knocked up and slain in his own jungle. A triple kill for KZ, and Venomcrest are one step closer to taking this series.
DMGC, the teleport to the top lane. Shroudy Rowdy here will just be absolutely bounced by Bartholdi. He's just going to keep him out of the club, keep him out of the continuation of this series. And without Galul there, DMG thought they'd have a go. And that's a fair enough opportunity. They weren't quite together themselves. KZ held his range, was not poked out. And as a result, a clean out of these inhibitors just before the Baron ends.
3 inhibitors down at 24 minutes into this game. 3 minutes away from that Mountain Soul for Venomcrest. DMG, it looked like it was such a big pick, but Bartoldi just had so much healing on that Trundle. DMG could not get a kill.
Yeah, it was ludicrous, the amount coming through from his mythic item, from his subjugate, and from the redemption. Just an absolute armada, and without any anti-heal sticking to him. You know, just able to stay alive for so long and even offer it to his teammates.
It well and truly is a miracle that DMG need to get back into this game. They are 7,000 gold down. They are being outscaled. You know what? Scratch that. They're not being outscaled. They have been outscaled. We've almost got 3 items on this Azir. Bartoldi is taking a lot of damage. Is this the potential pick for DMG? Absolutely not. Venomcrest will continue to charge forward with 3 super-powered minion waves. Fast-legged, who does he want to go on? Who does he want to kill? KZ will shred through Steven. Taki, I think not. And KZ is letting rip the gods of war. It's a quadra kill, but there will be no penta. There is no redemption for DMG, and Venomcrest effectively take a beautiful 2-0 against DMG.
That was an absolute banger of a series. Venomcrest coming out of the gate with absolutely no mercy. DMG will ride again in the lower bracket, but that was a statement performance. There are barely any deaths across the team. Galul showing up massively in this series.
Galore was just incredible. Nothing else to say. Just playing out of his mind. And Venomcrest will be playing against a winner of Tempest and Ruddy. And I know Tempest have looked amazing this season, but this Venomcrest looked like something else entirely. With that though, Temporal, It's been a pleasure to cast with you as per usual, but with that, we are going to be throwing into a short break. And when we return, our analyst desk will be breaking down that game and bringing this broadcast to a close. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the Analyst Desk, everybody. A swift 2-0 for the Venomcrest Serpents, sweeping DMG UK aside with two 25-minute Ws. And it did not look particularly difficult overall, guys. So we're going to go straight into the quick replays here, and I want to focus first on the VNC mid lane, because we talked a lot about how much Galul has become the spearhead of this roster, and Rail, that certainly is how they decided to play this game out, right? We had discussions about the viability of the Jason that mid lane matchup, but the Azir certainly had some assistance today.
Yeah, it's always why I end up just calling Azir Amazon Prime, because he's always just a delivery man.
I think.
So, I am muted. That's a good start.
I
am back. It's literally why I always call Azir the Amazon Prime delivery man, because he's always just delivering people on a platter for whoever arrives. And he just had fast-legged around. He had Trundle around. It happened game one. It should have been telegraphed that Galul will say, gank me, gank me, gank me. I don't need any other lane. You gank me. We're going to win the game. And pretty much exactly what they did. It just got to a point where Galul was that big, could dive into any backline, push him in, and Jinx has just sat there with rockets like, oh, would you look at that? I got a reset.
Crazy how that works every time. You know, we saw them finally get their hands on that Jinx for KZ, and you know that they sacrificed the Jinx ban for the Orianna ban, and still we wound up here because the Azir just gives them that playmaking, right? And then KZ, we saw at the very end just how much impact the Jinx can be having. As soon as you give them that first rocket, it goes a little nutty, right? The Jinx just goes kind of crazy, and they just that Azir Jinx backline was just untouchable, right? When they got so far ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's reset city for Jinx once you get one kill. I mean, we're kind of seeing it. The backline access for the side of DMG was lackluster. There wasn't really many ways to get to these two big carries. Even when Azir comes flying in, you can blow everything on him. You're not going to kill him because Shifting Sands has a shield. And Jinx is still free-firing for most of it. We saw plenty of multi-kills there, nearly a pentakill for KZ at the end. Venomcrest just know how to 5v5 very well. And like we said, KZ's positioning is impeccable. Excuse me. I genuinely don't know how you put anything forwards to beat down a team like Venomcrest when they're team fighting this well, outside of just playing a poke comp better than they can team fight.
Yeah, it is certainly a tricky one to unravel for sure. They are going to advance forward in the upper bracket to face the winner of Tempest Gaming and Ruddy Painkillers. That will be a match coming up, I think it's tomorrow. So we will have that to look forward to, and we'll see if that all favored matchup, the Venomcrest potentially with Tempest, or if Ruddy can unseat them. We'll see who can step forward into the grand finals and into the promotion series. But I think, I'm not sure if we have the replays prepared for this game. I'll maybe get production just to confirm in my ear if we have those ready to go. I believe we do. I think I heard yes, we do. So let's go forward to the first of the replays, which I believe is our mid lane ganks from many members of Venomcrest, just everyone of Venomcrest rocking up here. A lot of Bartholdi coming in and supporting Galul, Rail, and then also Fastleg coming in to support.
Yeah, Fastleg just got me excited this game. This man was just absolutely everywhere. So it looks good for DMG at the start. They catch out Trundle. It looks like a good idea, but they don't have the damage. In comes Fastleg out of completely nowhere. You could call the man Randy Orton because he just RKO'd that poor kid. He didn't stand a complete chance. And that's all he was doing this entire game. He just completely appeared out of thin air every single time and got to whoever he wanted to get to. He wants to get to Senna, he's got to Senna. Wants to get to Aatrox, he's got Aatrox. The man will deliver you anyone he wanted.
Yeah, he's pulling it forward to become the year of the Serpent, but he's also turning it back and pulling rabbits out of hats, man. He's going crazy in this series. And our second replay is when DMG, it looked like they finally had an angle. This is around near the end of the game. Sheikah, you can take us through this one. It's about 23 minutes in, close to the end. And we thought they found a way in, right? That Talia finally got the wall in, but somehow, again, it just doesn't work out.
It just doesn't. And I think, yeah, so this is the fight where you catch onto Fastlegged and Bartholdi, but they have flashes up. They have everything they need. And look at KZ, still positioning as safely as is possible, and then Fastlegged manages to find a miracle engage, frankly, onto Senna plus I believe it was Jace. And from that point onwards, everything goes downhill. It's gone. Fastlegged had such a stellar performance from these last two games. It was absolutely insane.
Yeah, you mentioned them having everything they need as well, including the Trundle Redemption, which came in clutch to keep them topped up, and we saw the Radiant Virtue into redemption for Bartholdi. worked out great. You gave them exactly what they needed in that game, in that fight, and then Faster runs around the houses, comes back in with the re-engage, and it just put the stamp on what was a pretty wild series from him. Sheikah, I know you want to talk more about this guy and about the impact that he has had on both games and how much he has been performing so far, especially in the latter parts of the split.
Absolutely, and here we actually have all of the stats that I was looking for. So, across both games, Fastlegged ends with a KDA of 1,235, which is an 18 KDA across both games. 13,164 gold, which averages out to 6,982 gold a game. 10,873 damage across 2 games. Remember, this is across 2 games. That's not the damage from Rakan in 1 game, but it's roughly 5,500 damage per game. And a CS with, well, CS of 69, but it's a support. Who minds? 2 games on the Rakan, 2 stellar performances. And we were talking about this in the green room during the game. Fastlegged for us was the MVP of this series, finding every engage needed to give Venomcrest the best possible avenue to victory. For a player who has played at the highest levels of NLC, coming into UKEL 4 Nations and showing what that experience brings to such a talented player.
Yeah, it was crazy from him. Absolutely stunning from Fastlight, and this is a player that we've spoken of before. We've seen him in the higher upper echelons of the NLC before. You know, he's got a lot of competitive experience. Him and KZ have been crushing it down in the bot lane. The rest of Venomcrest are not slouching either. I think the only other thing I just want to touch on is we did see another strong performance out of Pighead in the Aatrox, at least in the laning phase, right? A decently Inno got the CS lead back and did get some assistance as well, but ultimately we didn't see as much of a flashy Inno today, I guess. We saw him kind of just pick the Renekton, blind, I believe, in both games, and then just do his job, did some stunning, didn't go super far down in the lane, and just kind of got the job done, but the rest of Venomcrest were there to stand up. It doesn't always have to be Inno popping off in the team fights, and it makes them such a scary force to play against. But Rael, do you have any other thoughts either on Fastlight and his MVP performance today, or anyone else that you'd like to highlight from Venomcrest before we move on?
I mean, it can literally be both, because obviously Fastleg, just the main man in both games, everywhere he needed to be, and just even the roams in game 1 with the Poppy was just so important. Wherever Poppy was, he was, and it just made any gank what was going to happen that much more deadly. And still a lot of props to Inno. Like, he did just sit back. He didn't need to do anything these games. He didn't die in lanes. Yeah, he died in a jungle, but that was fairly brief. We'll miss that one. We'll dance over that. And just said, you know what, team? Carry me. I'm just going to play Renekton. I'm just going to be the extra frontline for you. That's all I need to do in these games.
Yep. You gotta know when's the right place to stand up, right? So for now, Venomcrest gonna take that comfortable win forward into the winners finals, I guess we call them. And DMG will go into the lower bracket. So as the 4th seed, no matter who loses between Tempest and Ruddy, DMG will be going into the 2nd round of the lower bracket. So they will face the winner of Belfast Storm and Verzi. You can see the playoffs bracket in front of you here. But yeah, DMG will be going into that match number 2 in the lower bracket down on the 11th of November. And tomorrow we will be seeing Tempest versus Ruddy. Same time, same place, 7 o'clock on the same stream. So before we wrap up for the day, guys, can I ask for briefly any thoughts about that prediction for Tempest and Ruddy, and maybe how that could compare with Venomcrest, as we've seen them on a strong form today? So Rael, I'll come to you first. I'll give Sheikah has the thinking face on hard, so some thoughts getting in order. But Rael, in terms of tomorrow, what are your expectations for Tempest and Ruddy Painkillers?
I mean, I said it earlier, a lot more teams have taken Tempest to 40 minutes games, which has been very surprising, because before this was like, okay, no one's beating Tempest. Like, no one's beating them. They just looked unstoppable, and Kusei has been one of the main catalysts of that, because of the fact his champion pool is massive. He'll play anything and everything and still make it look insane in his hands. But that being said, I still think it probably might end up being a 2-0 for Tempest. They still just look that upper level of a team.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult to bet against them.
It certainly is. Sheikah, are you gonna bet against them? Are you gonna take the tough choice here? What are your feelings on that matchup?
I'm not gonna bet against them for this series, and that's purely because
Smart.
I think Tempest have figured Ruddy out. right? I mean, they picked this opponent. They evidently feel like Ruddy is the best matchup for them to proceed against, between them and DMG. They've figured them out properly. We've seen them beat them 2 times in a row. We saw them do it quite convincingly on, I think it was Thursday. So very excited to see just how that goes, but I do think Tempest take it 2-0. But I do think that the upper bracket finals is going to be the big match to watch between Venomcrest and Tempest. I do think Venomcrest, if they continue on the form that they have been showing, are one of the only teams left that can beat Tempest. We talk about the mid jungle for Tempest in Dunlosi and Kusai, and they play together for a long time. They have very good synergy, right? But if Galul and Bartholdi can continue to move themselves around and work as a duo along with Fast Legs, making it a trio, it's going to be very hard because Buzzy typically likes to stick to Scream quite closely because you want to be able to let Scream be able to play the game unless you're on something very high hyperscaly. Typically we see things like the Kai'Sa, so we tend to see Buzzy play a little bit closer to that AD carry. And is probably one of the only top laners who can go toe-to-toe with Battery in this top lane, whether that's on tank duty, whether it's on something like the Camille, we'll have to see. But I think Tempest take it 2-0 tomorrow, and then it's... If Tempest take it 2-0, I think we see a 2-1 to Venomcrest.
Okay.
Really? Wow.
I'm gonna be the one to say it.
Yeah, I'll say it. I'll take the break stats.
I can see the angle. I generally can. I can see what Jake is looking at. Is the synergy from Galore and Bartholdi. It's just been better and better each game. And like Jika said, Fast Leg getting involved as well just made that so deadly. And if they end up baiting Kusei into playing something like the Jace, where he's going to be playing aggressive, he's going to want to go in, that's just your gank target. And they'll do exactly what they did this game of just saying, he's going to disguise me, we're going to kill him now.
Yeah, for sure.
It's almost as if I said it at the start of the game.
I had to get the jab in. I had to get it in right at the end. Okay, so that is going to be us for today. We have some potential Venomcrest Serpents supporters now on the analyst desk if they can make it into that further matchup. But before that, we're going to have to see our next upper bracket match that is happening tomorrow, same time, same place, at the Four Nations UKL stream at 7 o'clock GMT once again. That'll be Tempest Gaming versus Ruddy Painkillers. For now, that is going to be us this evening. I have been Trajan, joined by Irel and Sheikah on the analyst desk, Milky Serial and Temporal on the casting desk, Project Gap and the crew on production as always. Thank you so much for the UKL for putting on this league for us all to holler at every single week. So remember to support us, follow at... I didn't bring the socials numbers up in front of my face. I thought I could get them from memory by now, but I didn't.
I have them in memory, and it's kind of scary.
So it's ukl.gg is the website. I never forget Instagram because it's _UKL because it's weird. Discord.gg/UKL, and Twitter, is it just at the UKL? That was the easy one, and that's the one I stumbled on. Unbelievable. So follow us at socials there. Come back to the stream tomorrow, and plenty more times this week for all the playoffs. The action will only continue. Thank you so much for watching. Have yourselves a wonderful night.